Welcome to the Party Pals, as it's our We Needed Roads Christmas special, as we get into one of the greatest Christmas films of all time, John McTiernan's Die Hard. And unlike other pods where the whole episode will be debating, is Die Hard a Christmas movie, we all firmly agree that it is, and this episode will be a celebration of that. I'm your host, Hans Gregors, and I'm joined by Ho-Ho, Jose Has a Machine Gun Now Lopez, David, Where Are My Detonators Long, and simply Ben, Die Hard Davis, for our first ever four-man pod-off. Don't make it weird, guys. Don't make it sound weird.
Ooh, okay.
You really made it sound weird, Jose.
Yeah. He's forever Ho-Ho Jose. It's not just for this episode.
Jose.
That's going forward. That's past Christmas.
I mean, it's definitely growing on me.
The term pod off, a four-man pod off.
There we go.
I don't agree with that at all.
I'm really disappointed no one pulled out a "That's what she said" at any point.
Oh, we're beyond that. That's the name of your sex tape now, anyway.
Hey. Right. Well, as we're going to be talking Die Hard, first up, and this is going to go to Jose because he was the one who badgered us all to do this. I mean, badger's a strong word, but you were the most enthusiastic.
He rabbited us. He squirreled us.
I definitely did push for this because I realized what time of year it was and the theme of the pod. So I was like, I think this is going to work.
Well, Jose, then my question to you is: can you remember when you first saw Die Hard? And of course, did you immediately love it?
First part, no. I was pretty young, as I assume most of us were when it came out. 1988. I wasn't even really going to theaters at that time, I think. But I would say that I probably saw it for the first time on TV, and that means that I saw the edited version. So I didn't even really get to see the real version until probably when I was in my teens or early 20s. In the 2000s when I bought a DVD from the flea market. Do you guys have flea markets, or do you call it something else, or do you know what they are?
Like a car boot sale kind of thing.
It's like an indoor market.
So that was a time when DVDs were pretty cheap, that you could get like secondhand. And then I was like, you know what, this seems like a good time to pick up a DVD of Die Hard. And then I was just blown away of how much I enjoyed it.
Was it specifically Die Hard that you were like, yeah, now this seems like the correct time to buy Die Hard? Like, was it just Die Hard, or did you pick up like Lethal Weapon and like some other rad movies as well? Or was it literally just Die Hard?
I think it was probably Die Hard and maybe one or two other random movies, because when you go to a flea market, you just see what they have available, and sometimes they have it by design. And I like Lethal Weapon, but it wasn't something that I had a fond memory of, which ironically is also kind of a Christmas movie. But
absolutely is.
Yeah.
But I just remember Die Hard for some reason had a special place in my heart, because I was like, you know what, let me pick up Die Hard. I want to have a hard copy. So I watched it, blown away. Not just the cursing and the action, but it was just really well written, and so I just enjoyed it still. So that's kind of where it kind of started again for me.
David.
Well, Neil, I was just a twinkle in my dad's testicles when Die Hard came out. So
Wait, can we elaborate on how old you are, David?
I'm 31 now.
Oh, God.
So 92. Yeah, I was born in 1992. So I was 4 years too late to enjoy it as a baby.
David, to be fair, none of us saw it in a cinema.
Okay.
None of us are
Are you
that
sure,
old.
Neil? Mate, you sure? You've
Ouch.
But no, I probably watched it when I was like 12, 13. And I think I wanted to watch it because I loved Friends. And the characters in Friends were all like, Die Hard! All the time. So I was like, see what this is all about. I watched it and I was like, to be honest, I didn't really get it. I was like, it was fun. It was enjoyable. And that's kind of just where I left it for me. Maybe I didn't watch it at Christmas. Maybe that was the problem. And I probably haven't seen it again until I had to watch it last night in prep for this.
Watch it.
And it was pretty much had to.
Until I was forced to watch it by these three fuckwits.
Hey, Neil will hunt me down.
I resemble that remark.
And found it much more enjoyable this time around.
That's good. That was the right answer. You get to live.
Thank you.
Ben.
Damn.
Hans Gregors.
When did I see it? I can't remember when I first saw it. I really can't. I remember it being one of those in the UK. It was one of those movies that was like not forbidden, but when you were a kid, it was just like one of if you'd seen that movie, you were cool. Like
Evil Dead.
I know, yeah, like it's like Medieval Dead was the one going around my school that everybody really wanted to watch. It was that, and like I mentioned Lethal Weapon earlier, and all movies of that ilk. If you'd seen one of them, because it had swearing in and stuff, and it was like people getting blown up and shot. Like it was, you were pretty cool. Like you did that. Like RoboCop was another one, and like, and I never saw it when I was in school. Like I never really like gravitated towards movies like that. I was more of like a sci-fi Back to the Future kind of guy. And I ended up seeing it a little bit later than that. But funnily enough, I actually saw Die Hard 2 before I saw Die Hard 1. So like I did it in the wrong, chronologically the wrong order. So I went into this movie not really like I kind of had like an insight into what was already going to happen, because obviously in Die Hard 2, Holly is stuck on a plane with the reporter that she punches at the end of Die Hard 1. So you already know there's some history there and what's going to go on. So I remember watching it going, hang on, what's going on here? This is like she's not allowed to sit next to that guy. And you get that backstory. So I kind of watched it as a prequel almost, but instantly loved it. And I really want to touch on something Jose just said, because some of my fondest memories of movies from back in the day when I watched stuff like that were the edits that you would get on TV. Like Ghostbusters had all of like the swear words cut out of it. And like, yeah. I remember the infamous yippee-ki-yay motherfucker line was edited, and it haunts me to this day. And
what was it edited to?
It was edited to yippee-ki-yay kimosabi, which I think is actually kind of racist. And looking back on it, you're just like, man, like they tried to make this thing a little bit more acceptable to like the viewing audience, but I look back on it and think, man, like that is just some middle class white guy editing if ever I've experienced it.
You know what's interesting is as I was doing research on video, I learned that there was 2 other voiceover dubs, and the first one I couldn't remember, and the second one was like modernized because the first one was a little weird, but it was not that version either. So I was like, interesting, probably that they dubbed out different versions for different countries.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. The UK definitely had some interesting ideas of what it was to edit stuff, and like how and culturally how significant some words and phrases and sayings were. Like, and I can't remember any other really good examples because I'm just sort of like dialing in on Die Hard. But that one still haunts me to this day. I watched that movie yesterday to recap for this, and when it came to that part, I was watching it online with my girlfriend, and I had to tell her the story, and she just gave me this look of bewilderment, as if to say, like, "You people did that? Like, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
I'll tell you the one that really stood out, mate. RoboCop.
What the edits on RoboCop or?
Yeah, the edits on RoboCop, man.
I don't remember it. I think I saw it on VHS, so like they didn't edit it.
There was a Fun You Muddy Funster was one of the famous ones.
Oh, Muddy Funster was that was classic.
Muddy Funster.
That was always used.
And I can't remember the other 2 but I remember there was so many in RoboCop. Like,
actually, you want to hear a surprising one?
Yes.
Back to the Future Part 2, when Marty McFly's getting away from the future Biff Tannen, and he jumps into the water to avoid getting hit by them, and they crash the bank. He pops up, and he's like, "Holy shnikes!" That was an American version.
Oh, that's terrible.
Can we now, because this is a Christmas edition, I think we should only swear in edited versions of what we've heard for the rest of this podcast. You muddy.
That's going to be
that's challenging.
You know what? How about this? We just swear regularly, and then Neil voices over.
That's even better.
Because Neil doesn't have enough editing to do. No, that's fine.
Oh shit.
Oh. Christ. Anyway, just missing it straight away there. Just like Tourette's.
That'll be probably syndrome. The only time I really curse. Maybe.
Come on, Jose. Don't you know how funning busy he is? Good edit, Neil. Well caught.
There we
Excellent. Go. Well, as it came out in 1988, I would have been 10, so there was absolutely no chance of me seeing it in the cinema. David, just to be so you're clear,
Wow.
I was 10.
You had more of a chance than the rest of us.
Not by a lot. And I think it must have been like the mid to late 90s when we finally got like Sky cable TV over here. And I made the cardinal sin of doing exactly what you did, Ben. I saw Die Hard 2 before Die Hard 1.
That's the way to do it.
And taking that into account, I knew absolutely nothing about it at the time. All I knew is we just got all these movie channels. And so I watched everything I was allowed to watch. And I think Die Hard 2 was probably what they call the R-rated version as well that we got on TV here. But because it was like a premium, you had to pay to have the channel. So it was all uncut.
So that changed Watershed, didn't it? Like the Watershed rule that we had over here, you could put like swearing on TV after 9 p.m. But it had to be like, it could be edit. Like, I don't know if it was like full swearing. You could have like after 9 p.m. you could do some, and then after 10 p.m. you could do something.
You could have a shit after 9 p.m.
You could. I mean, you can do that whenever you want.
I love South Park.
You mean have
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna keep trying to edit someone because I'm gonna say something wrong. No, I'm just saying like that. That's actually a really important thing to remember, because when you see like edits and stuff, like they were different, and they were different for different times of the day as well. So yeah, that's a really good point.
And what surprised me most is I couldn't believe how violent and how many I was weird because I don't really remember much. I really wasn't into film at that point when I was like, I must have been like, I know I was at school, and I know I was at secondary school.
Did you have long hair?
And I remember definitely had long hair then. My lovely metal hair from back in the day. But I remember
it was actually hair.
It
wasn't made of metal, but you were a metal fan. That's why you had long hair. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. Yeah. But our friend in common, our old bass player, Phil, he came over for a sleepover and we watched it. I remember him coming over to stay and we watched it downstairs. And just
pillow fights? Wrong kind of sleepover, exactly my bad. Sorry.
Ben, we might have to unpack this at a different time.
You're telling me this isn't going to be a 4-hour-long podcast?
It's really not.
No,
by the time I get done with it.
Your idea of pillow fights at a bedtime.
Literally, it's going to be, and what did you think of it, Neil? That's nice, Ben. Great. And then back to the next person. Yeah, so after I'd seen this, I sought out the original. And if I'm honest, I think I preferred the sequel the first time at that age, because it was like the standard 80s, 90s action film, right? What does an action sequel do? It's bigger, it's louder, there's more explosions, death and carnage. And that's what I wanted when I was like, 14, 15. Most teenage boys want that.
And boobs.
And the other thing, yeah.
I knew Jose was going to say it. So, yeah, I remember not being blown away by Die Hard the first time I saw it. But, I mean, how wrong can you be? Although I had seen it then loads of times over the years. I think I remember bought it. There was like the triple set when it first came out on DVD with Die Hard, Die Hard 2 and Die Hard with a Vengeance. And I got like a nice little silver pack of that somewhere. Of course, it's standard def, so it looks like utter dog shit now. So I'm just waiting for it to be re-released again on 4K. So I can buy it again. Fuck you, Fox. Oh, except you don't exist now. 20th century.
Might have to buy the whole 5 set. Is it a quintology?
No, there was not a 5 set. There was only the first 3, Jose. We've been over this.
What's the one with Justin Long in it?
It doesn't exist, David. I keep telling you. It's a different multiverse.
4.0, isn't it? 4.0.
That's 4.0, okay.
It's got Timothy Olyphant as the bad guy, which is...
I'll defend that one a little bit. It wasn't that bad.
You can defend it later, Jose.
Kevin Smith's in it.
First of all, now, Jose, we're going to go to your... Jose's Education School Corner. I haven't got a better name for that segment. That's just what it is.
Yes.
You couldn't have put that with Die Hard at all. Couldn't have made any Die Hard reference there whatsoever.
I know. There's a lot of Die Hard references.
All right, guys.
This is going to be a long night.
So I'm going to start off by saying, for the average movie fan, we all know that Bruce Willis was not the first choice for the lead. But
did we?
Shut up. No, I'm kidding. But what we don't know is that, legally speaking, Frank Sinatra had to be offered the role before anyone else. And to go into that, I have to go back about 20 years to 1968 when 20th Century Fox produced a very successful movie for the studio called The Detective. It was based on a book written by Roderick Thorpe. And so nothing really crazy about that. But in 1979, Thorpe wrote a sequel called Nothing Lasts Forever, which, Neil, I believe you knew about this. It was based off of the movie Inferno.
Yeah, but basically what it is the writer, he'd seen Paul Newman's A Tower in Inferno, and he's like, oh, this is really good, because I think Tower in Inferno came out in 1974.
Yes.
And so he was there watching it going, oh, this is really cool. Paul Newman's saving people in a giant tower. And then he basically wrote it. He goes, what if it wasn't a fire? What if it was terrorists? So, ironically, yeah, he basically just said, oh, let's have the Tower Inferno without the Inferno.
Exactly. So what he did what he did was he wrote a story about a New York police detective called Joe Nealand, who was visiting his daughter, who was named Stephanie Gennaro, on New Year's Eve at an office party at the Claxton Oil Corporation. So it's attacked by a group of German terrorists. So you can see they use this book as a good amount of source material. What happened is Frank Sinatra was actually contracted to do 2 films when he was cast in the 1968 film, but because so much time had passed when they were trying to do Die Hard, he was in his 70s. So luckily for everyone involved, he decided not to be the lead, and that's when they started looking for the role that would become John McClane.
I mean, can you imagine 70-year-old Frank Sinatra as John McClane?
Can you imagine the shooting scenes? It's like
I don't even know. I was going to do a really bad Sinatra talking impersonation, but I don't know what that would sound like. So
actually, I don't even know what.
I got to shoot you now, pal! Bang. Like that.
So going into that, I also want to elaborate on the fact that the original script was more of a traditional 80s movie where Hans Gruber was supposed to be a terrorist. It was going to be straight up action. And John McTiernan was like, I don't really think I like this. And so he had to be coerced into directing the film. He was part of the reason why it was made more elaborate by having the terrorists actually be just regular thieves. Well, not regular thieves. What kind of thieves?
Exceptional thieves.
Yes. But also one of the writers, coincidentally, I didn't write this in the notes. One of the writers had recently also experienced a situation where he had almost gotten into a car accident right after arguing with his wife. And he wanted to use that as a motivation for the lead in the movie. So he wanted to be like, you know what? I know I argue with my wife, but when something like that happens, you want to just apologize and you want to tell her how much you care for her. So I think
in other words, it was therapy, man. Right, rather than going to therapy, you just wrote about it.
Yes. So I thought that was a really cool kind of origin for not just the script, but also the characters and the actors involved.
Hang on, I'm going to make a note of that. Write action film to save marriage.
Oh no, I think you've got the wrong end of that stick there, mate. I think it's actually foil terrorist takeover of of building to save marriage, or hang on, airport, or New York, because the other
how many
two
times
don't
can
exist.
One man's marriage be in the shitter? Okay.
Well, by the third,
apparently forever, consistently. If you're fucking John McClane. Yeah. What has he done? Sorry, I just got to jump in here because what has he done between the first movie and the second movie that puts him at odds? Or is it the second movie and the third movie? Second movie and the third movie. What is it that puts him at odds with Holly again? Because he's by this point he saved her twice for some pretty fucking terrible things, and she still goes, "Nah, I'm out." Like, I mean, if your marriage ain't gonna work, bro. Just fucking give it up.
Yeah, I mean, if you've saved hundreds of people a couple of times now, and do you know what it must be? It must be like the high of the action, and then when I go back to the day job again, he's just a dick.
Fun way to bring this together, as in quoted in Speed, relationships that are based on traumatic events don't tend to last.
But they weren't. But it wasn't based on traumatic event. It was based in love because they got married before this movie.
Hey, stop killing my thoughts.
Also, there's a great Deadpool reference here as well, where Deadpool is talking. I can't remember what he's talking about. He's talking about the movie's Taken, and he's like, at this point, isn't this just about bad parenting? Because of the amount of people that he knows, that Liam Neeson's character knows is being kidnapped.
Right.
But with McClane, though, right? So, like, films 1, 2, and 3 is basically him just having a falling out with his wife every time.
Yeah.
And then 4 is he has a falling out with his daughter, so she's got a common with him for 4. And then 5 is a falling out with his son, right?
He's just trash. He's just a terrible human.
He's a terrible person.
That's what these movies should really be about. There should be a prequel where how we understand, like, he literally just goes around kicking babies. He's a piece of shit.
John McClane is back in Baby Kicker. Baby Kicker with a vengeance.
Wow. Baby Kicker, kick harder.
Oh.
There's a nice little list of people. I think this is why I wanted to mention that the original movie was supposed to be standard 80s fare, because a lot of the people who were given the opportunity to take on the role was Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mel Gibson.
What made McClane different was he was just your average cop. He was just your average Joe. And a lot of the people who they originally wanted to cast were like, your larger-than-life like 80s action men, weren't they? You know, Stallone turned it down because it was too similar to Rambo. Arnie was asked about it, but he said no because he was getting burnt out on action at that point. Clint Eastwood apparently was offered it, and he said he didn't get the humor of the film. Which, wow, okay, Clint.
What's interesting is at the beginning of it, it didn't have that much humor.
But also, there was like a lot of people were turning it down because it was basically a guy running away for the whole movie. Like it's almost like the anti-action movie because he spends the whole time doing the opposite of what they think a hero should do. He hides, he runs away, doesn't engage, and he spends the whole movie like figuring out what to do. He's playing chess.
Yeah, basically, it's a little bit like Alien, where he's crawling around in events and just picking them off one by one.
Exactly, that's a great idea.
Die Hard 7, the Xenomorph.
Ooh, yes, 50 years in the future.
Are they both taking Ripley down, or
I don't know.
Anyway, I digress.
I think some other interesting actors that were mentioned that you have here is Kurt Russell, Al Pacino, Harrison Ford. I found out was offered the role, which I think would have been really interesting. And then also Don Johnson, who I think was just a TV actor at the time. And he has the charisma, but probably not the snarkiness of Bruce Willis.
Well, like you say, Gibson turned it down because, again, he said this part was too similar to Riggs in Lethal Weapon, which came out the year before.
Yeah.
Pacino turned it down, and he actually regretted it because he apparently there's a quote from him where he goes, "Also, I'm not a very good judge of what's good," which does explain a lot of his recent career over the last 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
It's true. Come on, man. I mean... And a non-action guy who was offered the role, which would have been a really interesting take, was Richard Gere. And 80s Richard Gere was like Mr. Romantic Drama guy. That would have been interesting. I'm trying to imagine like a Richard Gere in his prime.
I think straight off to the scene where he meets his wife in the beginning of the movie, you probably feel a little more compassion, but I'd like to see him kind of actually argue with her to see how that would turn out.
Where was Bruce Willis in his career at this time?
He was doing moonlighting, wasn't he?
He was a TV actor. He had done 2 movies that were of moderate success, but they were comedies.
Okay.
What were those 2 films? Was one of them with Kim Basinger? I remember it. He's a bit of a loser guy who decides to go on a date with some friends that set him up with this girl, and she's an absolute psychopath and like gets him in all the shit on the night out. Blind Date, that's the one. Yes, Jose.
That was actually a pretty funny movie, but I was too young at the time to really get to watch the unedited version. I saw a lot of stuff on local TV that was edited, so I know of a lot of these movies, but just not the full uncut versions.
Blind Date, 1987. Boom. Yes, a year before Die Hard. Get in.
Okay, so it makes sense why, because like after so many people have turned a role down, you'd think there'd be a bit of a red flag there, wouldn't you? With like for any actor, like why?
But I think it was because it was such a different turn on action movies. It really redefined the whole genre to allow for a regular guy to be the main star,
and also because he was running away all the time.
Yeah.
I have to reiterate that point. The whole thing was like he runs away. It was like would that fly like up against some of those movies, like some of those movies those actors were in, like Commando. You know, it's like a one man, and Rambo. Man. It's like a one-man army, but they're all trained specialists, and they don't run away. Yeah. They just like the worst thing that Rambo does. I think the most similar thing Rambo does is like camouflage himself, which is crafty. It's not cowardly. So there was a lot of there was a lot of stigma around actually how he's going to do this fighting. I think
doesn't McClane quote that in the film at some point? Isn't he going like, "This ain't Rambo" or something like that?
There's actually 2 references to each of them that I wrote down. One is when Hans Gruber is talking about you come from an American culture, and he mentions Rambo in that speech. And then later when McClane is talking about the explosives, he's like, yeah, they have enough explosives to send Arnold into, he said Schwarzenegger into orbit. And so I think those were both put into the script after the fact to kind of just give a little nod to their roles in the action genre.
Well, and also they went into business afterwards with Planet Hollywood, didn't they? So
yeah.
That was quite a long time after that, wasn't it? It was in the it was like mid 90s, early to mid 90s.
I'd say mid 90s was probably be accurate.
Because Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone were like at odds with each other for the early part of their career. Like I just watched the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary on Netflix, and he talks about how if Stallone did it, he wanted to do it better. And then Stallone would answer with something, which is why you get like Rambo versus Commando and the stuff like that. So
nice.
Yeah, there was definitely some they were at odds. So
I now want to see that film though, Rambo versus Commando.
Nice. Dude, that'd be great.
You know, what's funny is there was a small rumor that Die Hard was partially from script that was going to be a sequel to Commando, but that was squashed years later by the screenwriters. So there was no connection.
A heavy screenwriter.
All right, so I guess before we go into the actual movie, I still wanted to talk about some of the other actors. I'm going to start with probably one of the more obvious choices to talk about is Alan Rickman.
The Rickman.
As a kid, I learned that this was his first movie role, and I think everyone knows that as well. But as a young child, not really knowing what the whole process is, I thought that meant that was his first time acting ever, which was untrue. He was actually a really acclaimed and prestigious theater actor, which I think just makes his role so great. He's really good at his subtleties and knowing how to be either evil or actually kind of comical in his role.
I love the fact that you thought that's just his first time acting.
I thought that.
So were you just blown away? Like, no, if it's first time acting ever.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I thought that was his first acting role, and he just sort of Chris Pratted the whole thing. He got like someone saw him in a restaurant and went, "Oh, you look like you could be an actor." And he went, "Yes." And he just fucking came in and did Die Hard, and everyone was like, "Yeah, this guy's great. Let's put him in more movies." I didn't know how it works. I didn't care.
So I wasn't the only one that thought that.
No, you're a completely normal human being.
Imagine creating one of the most iconic villains ever in your first movie.
Yeah, check please, awesome. Just retire.
Right?
Check please and continue to give me those checks. But he's the gold standard, isn't he? Hans Gruber is like the gold standard of movie bad guys now. Like I remember Tom Hiddleston wrote a letter to Joss Whedon after Avengers saying, "Thank you for writing me my Hans Gruber." Like it was, he's the gold standard of villain. It's and rightly so. It's beautifully acted. It's really well scripted, and you can't help but kind of like him a little bit. It's brilliant.
Oh yeah, he's one charming motherfucker in the film, man.
Muddy fun stuff.
It's like, that's what was the name of the suit that the guy wore? And he's like, "I've got two." I'm like, damn, that's style.
A little bit of a dick measuring contest in the lift.
There we go. Yeah. And the humming. I think you guys mentioned the humming, and I'm like, that's all throughout that movie. That's so great.
But that piece of music's all throughout the movie. It punctuates the entire movie.
Yes. All right. Before I get distracted again, Reginald VelJohnson, most notable in the U.S. for the character of Carl Winslow on the American TV show Family Matters. But this was his breakout film as Al. He had done a couple side bit pieces, but nothing really that stuck. And fun fact, his role was originally going to be played by Gene Hackman, but he later became unavailable, so producers decided to hire an unknown, and then hired VelJohnson to fill in the spot.
I can't imagine Gene Hackman in that role, especially after what he's previously done.
Like French Connection.
Yeah. Popeye Doyle just wanders in. Oh, I'll just stand outside and just, no.
Right? He would have been too intense.
Everyone would be like, why isn't he the lead? And why isn't Bruce Willis like the other guy outside? Sitcom actor guy out there.
Fun fact, one of the roles that he had played as a background character was in Ghostbusters. With the next guy we'll talk about is William Atherton, a.k.a. bad TV reporter guy, Richard Thornburg.
Walter Peck.
Shut it down.
This is true, Your Honor. This man has no dick.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, he's done a couple other things that are notable. I think one of the other ones.
Jose, that's all he's known for. He is the man with no dick, and that's what it will be forever and ever.
Yeah. So I thought that was just really cool connection for the two of those actors. And then going into other bad guys in the movie, Alexander Godunov, aka Carl. I thought it was really interesting what I found out about him. He was a Russian-American actor. He defected to the U.S. in 1979. He mostly danced with ballet troupes throughout his time in the U.S. in the 80s. And he actually had a pretty cool role before Die Hard as a symphony conductor in the Tom Hanks comedy The Money Pit. He's the douchey boyfriend potential that his wife is being hit on by. Do you guys remember that?
I remember The Money Pit. I don't remember Carl in it, though.
So, and I found an interview when he was talking about Die Hard when he was making it. It was his first villainous role and his first action movie. And again, I think to be able to do that in your first movie and to be one of the most iconic villains along Alan Rickman, that's just great,
I mean, yeah, I think for anyone to hold the screen with Rickman in that performance and still remember that, and us to still remember his name's Carl, He did a pretty fucking good job, man.
Yeah.
When I was watching him, I was like, he looks a lot like Dolph Lundgren. Did they want Dolph Lundgren for this, and he was just too big at the time, so they went with someone cheaper and smaller?
Interesting.
Because he had the same look, man, didn't he?
I like the theory that the idea that he held his own against Rickman when really all he does is shoot a lot of people and smash stuff up with his gun. Like I was watching it yesterday, and I was like, "How is that rifle going to fire? There's bits of glass stuck in it." And it's like he's hit so many people with that thing and smashed so many things up. The barrel's probably bent.
When you've got the glorious hair like he does, though, that's just all he needs.
That's what it was. It was the glorious hair and the brooding anger. Sadly, though, he passed away at the age of 45 in 1995. So
that sucks.
I didn't really look into what he passed away from, and nothing really said right off the bat what it was. But gone too soon.
Forever known as one of the greatest henchmen of all time.
Yes,
exactly.
The king of henchmen.
And speaking of great henchmen, Al Leong, the henchman that eats the candy bar.
Does he have a name, Jose?
Actually, yes, but I forgot to write it down. I just wanted to say henchman that eats the candy bar. We all know who it is.
Uli. Uli, apparently.
So I wanted to shout him out because he's just done such a good set of characters. And just to name a few, Big Trouble in Little China, Lethal Weapon, Action Jackson.
He is in Lethal Weapon. He's the guy that electrocutes him when he's hung up.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure as Genghis Khan, which
amazing.
Yes.
Death Warrant, that's a Van Damme movie. Last Action Hero, Hot Shots Part 2, Beverly Hills Cop 3, The Replacement Killers, and all of that is before 2000. So he's done even more after that.
Oh my God. Hot Shots Part 2, where he's the guy that Charlie Sheen's fighting in the pit. And he does the scene where he's from one of the Van Damme movies where he wraps his hands in like Hessian, and then he dips it in tar, and then dips his hands in broken glass and nails, and then it flicks to Charlie.
Was that Kickboxer?
No, he flicks over to Charlie Sheen, who's like, yeah, Kickbox, that's right, yeah, and he goes over to Charlie Sheen's side, and he dips his hands in caramel or toffee, and then he puts his hands in Skittles and M&Ms, and they're like, God, let the crowd will go, gummy bears, Skittles. So that guy is a martial arts master. He is truly one of Hollywood's best on-screen stunt people. It definitely was at the time. I don't know what he's doing now.
Yeah, one of the last films he was in was Awesome Asian Bad Guys.
No way.
I think pretty apt.
I just can't believe that's the actual title.
That's it.
What year was that, David?
2014. That was.
Wow, okay, it was a different time, but not by much.
2014 was a different time. Oh man, I guess anything after 2020, we're gonna have a lot of changes.
Well, so Jose, I think
yes,
we're now into it. We're into the film.
We gotta go into the film.
We've all rewatched this recently for the pod tonight, and rather than just, I don't know, I've kind of got this weird stream of consciousness list of thoughts I had as I was watching it that I was jotting down. Mm-hmm. And so I've got a few questions there. So let's get into it, man. So the first thing, obviously, you're playing, you got the shot of the plane coming in, and the first shot you see of John, he's still wearing his wedding ring. But here's the weird thing, right? He's got his wedding ring. So the first shot is trying to establish, oh yeah, he's a family man. Then he checks out the air stewardess who walks past him.
Yeah, they both check each other out. I don't agree with that. I think there's a bit there's a bit of a thing there, but it's like in the second one where the girl hits on him and he goes, just the fax, man. He's asked with a fax machine, which is really funny. But it was the 80s. He was happy. Well, I was more concerned with the fact that he had 2 kids and only 1 present. So which one's his favorite, dickhead?
Oh yeah, the daughter.
They're going to share the bear.
Yeah. It was big enough.
There's a part in the airport when that girl goes to hug her boyfriend coming back from the plane. There's the poster in the construction area. He takes a moment to stare and then high fives it later. And then near the beginning of the movie, also when things just start, as he's trying to figure things out, he looks out the window and across to the other building, there's a woman changing, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to stare for a little bit." It's really interesting.
I think we've just discovered why his marriage keeps failing.
You're absolutely right.
Imagine, this is what he's like under tight circumstances. Imagine what he's like on a daily basis when he hasn't got to save a building full of people.
Right.
Man,
I think
we just discovered John McClane is a closet pervert. Sad.
It was on a movie. It was in front of thousands and thousands of people. There's nothing closeted about it.
There we go. Also, I guess I should say it now since we're talking about the women. Fun fact: there's 3 Playboy playmates in the movie. One of them is the obvious one, the poster in the wall. The other one is the girl who's meeting her boyfriend. But also the third one is in the office party, the girl who's interrupted having sex with her coworker. All of those were played by Playboy playmates. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you research that or did you just know, Jose?
I'm going to say I researched that.
That's,
See, Jose gets it. He's not going to have to go and save his partner from a burning building or like terrorist infection because he gets it.
Yes.
And of course, as we keep mentioning, it is the 80s, which meant you could smoke in airports.
Oh yeah, I thought that was really cool.
No, it's not cool smoking in airports, Jose.
You just got told off, Jose. You just got told off. Smoking is not cool, young man. We do not in any way say that smoking is cool on this podcast.
Airports.
I just thought that the time capsule portion of it is like, oh wow, that's a really different kind of mindset back then.
The dude had a gun on a plane. Like, how you like?
That's
how was
huge.
the cigarettes the first thing you thought of, Neil? He has a gun on the plane.
He's a cop. He's allowed to.
Oh, okay, that's okay then. Yeah.
Even though he's not in his own state. So, like, I don't know how the
It's quite funny that the guy
work.
He's sat next to that gives him the secret of flying, which, by the way, is horse shit from someone that flies a lot.
As he's landing as well. So he gives him the secret of flying.
As
he's landing. End of the flight.
Yeah, and he gets worried about a guy with a gun as they're getting off the plane. He looks at him like, oh god, are you going to stick up the? Oh no, we've landed. Fuck you! Like it makes no sense.
And of course, it was Christmas at LAX, literally the worst airport in the world at the worst possible time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Have you ever flown through LAX?
Have you ever been to Luton Airport? That's pretty fucking awful.
Yeah,
Luton's got an airport.
Uh-huh.
I have to say, this is probably the start where I really enjoyed the cinematography of the movie. As he was leaving the airport, going to the building, you get really great shots of Nakatomi Plaza, aka the Fox Tower. That along with the good script has really just helped movies stay strong through all these years.
I agree, man. I think there's just to cut in really quickly. There's at no point do you feel like that this is stock footage. No, there's a lot of movies where you're like, that's probably stock footage from a drone or something now. But then they had to get that particular building, so they had to go and shoot that footage, and it had to be authentic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what's wild is when you get introduced to Al later, when you get to introduce to Al later, they have that great panning up shot of the gas station just being like maybe a few blocks away. I just love that. But again, also another fun fact: it shows that gas was less than $1 back then. Less than $1, and I was just like watching it again. I'm like, wow, I'm an adult now because I'm shocked by the price of gas.
Oh yeah,
I think I need some context as to how much it costs at the moment for you.
You also need to know that you buy. Is it in gallons over there?
It's not
gallons. That is correct.
We get it in liters, which is So in the UK, it's what is it, a liter right now? It's under £2 a liter, but only just. So
it's one. I pay £1.55.
Yeah, it's about $1.50 something. I thought. Yeah,
it's £1.50.
Which is just under £2
in the US right
so
now.
I'm still correct. I'm clinging onto that victory. Dear Lord.
For context, in the US right now, in Florida, it is about $3 a gallon. And it hasn't been under $2, I think, for over 15 years, unless...
94 years.
Yeah, but I don't even remember it being under $1 until like around the 2000s, honestly. So just kind of like fun fact to again, it's another reason that I enjoy this movie is because you see these references to things that were so different back then, a la the tape deck being such a new thing for a limo.
First of all, when we meet Holly in her office, and like I said, she's taken she's gone back to her maiden name,
Generico.
But she encourages her pregnant co-worker to have a drink.
That's fine.
You know, I didn't really catch that.
Does she? When? I don't remember that.
She goes, have one. That kid could 10 bar.
See, I thought that just meant like she's really close to popping her out, and so the kid would be at the bar. I didn't realize that's what it meant.
No. She's like, go on. She's like, go and finish now. Go and finish up. Go and have a glass of champagne.
Wow.
And she like pats her stomach. She goes, "Oh, come on, that kid could 10 bar." I was like,
but she's before that. She says, "I guess." She goes, "I guess like a glass won't hurt." It's something like they do temper it. They don't make it out. They don't make it out like she's going to go and get absolutely shit faced and start doing shots and like owning it. She goes, "I guess I could just have one, right?" You know, she's like, she's ready to pop. They used to prescribe Guinness to pregnant women, like, because it's got iron in it. So I think that this is just a time capsule thing again. Like, this isn't like like you wouldn't get that in a movie today.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Neil, I think you are allowed like 150 or 200 milliliters of alcohol if you're pregnant.
Milliliters?
If you're pregnant,
is it milliliters?
If you're pregnant,
if I'm pregnant.
If you're
what about
specifically
a standard woman, David?
Because I'm pretty sure.
You might have to ask your wife on this.
Because
also, I do need to know why you know that specifically about me and how you've got into my medical records.
It's called the information superhighway for a reason, Neil. Come on.
I'm going to throw it back to The Office since we're talking about her office. What's a really cool touch that I've also seen from other people talking is the lighting. As they're going through the office party before John, and even just a little bit after John gets there, the lighting the tones are really warm because of the sunset, and it creates a nice cool like aspect to the shadows. And then as soon as the henchmen arrive and take over the building, the tones become really cool and cold and blue. So I thought that was a really interesting detail that people have mentioned of their observations of the movie.
Well, talking about the cinematography there, Jose, the cinematographer was, before he became a director quite some night himself, was Jan de Bont of Speed fame.
Yes. Fun fact, he got stuck in an elevator, and that was part of the reason that he wrote in the elevator scene at the beginning of Speed.
Pop quiz, hard shot.
All right. Yeah. Dude.
So watching this yesterday and talking about the scenes, I guess my role in this 4-man pod off, by the way, is like the everyman. I've just watched it from a point of view of enjoying the movie and haven't done deep dives and like all the stuff that you guys have done.
Perfect.
But like, I was watching it again. I was with my girlfriend yesterday, and she went, "That is some of the worst backgrounds I've ever seen, like out of a window." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And I looked again, and I was like, "Oh my god, they are like horrendously painted backdrops that are just stuck up at the windows." I didn't even notice. It took her just being like, "Oh my god, did you check that out? It's awful." I was like, "Oh,
that's a great observation." That's a great observation.
I feel like I need to watch it again now. Like, I need to Google this.
I did not notice that at all, man. I was just so into the story and the performances.
I think what you're saying there, like about the warmth and the tonality of the shots. It's like, yeah, like it's happening that way, and you buy into it because it's like it's sunset. Like John McClane is like reunited with his wife, so it feels kind of warm and happy. And then as soon as the sun goes down, the terrorists attack. So it's like it's by night, so it's like a nocturnal thing. So
it's official signifier, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, look at when Han Solo finally dies in the Star Wars movies. You know,
spoiler.
Like, I know he does. He does. Like that whole thing where they're drawing the life of the sun to feed the Death Star.
Oh wow!
Planet, the planet Death Star. It's like he dies as that light goes out, like in the background as that light goes out and everything turns to red. That's where Kylo Ren runs him through. So it's
really great.
It's a popular way of showing transitions between good, light and dark, or good and bad, and that kind of stuff.
Life and death,
indeed.
That's awesome. That's a great observation.
Back on that point, is that similar to is it prophetic fallacy? Is that what it's called?
Where
I don't know. Rain represents evil.
Yeah, maybe
the dark. Is it called prophetic fallacy?
I wouldn't know. Like, we've all got the internet in front of us and could probably look it up.
We could probably do that.
I will not do it.
There was enough of us that there would be no long conversation, but also no tapping. I think we have to talk about the limo and limo with the future. Wow. I mean, it's got a VHS in it, man. You can smoke in it. Who paid for the limo for him?
Oh, the company. Remember Mr. What's his name?
Nakatomi.
I really should know the name of the boss that dies. I've failed my research.
Definitely not Nakatomi.
Oh, the court. No, I thought it was paid for by the Nakatomi Corporation. I didn't even finish that thought out loud. So yeah,
but that's so random, isn't it? Oh, I mean, I guess it isn't, because as we learn, Holly is like
she's busy
rising up the chain there.
Oh, she actually didn't even know if he made the plane. That's the thing.
Yeah, because why would they have the car waiting for him? Just because on the off chance he makes it.
You can smoke on airplanes, but they don't have phones on them yet.
Correct. It was still fancy.
The limo has a phone.
You're right.
Could have called.
You're right.
And of course, this is where we meet Argyle for the first time.
Oh,
I'd completely forgotten about Argyle, man. And
really,
one of the highlights of the film for me. I just fucking loved it. When, chaos, bad guys getting blown up, shot. Let's cut back to Argyle rocking out with a stuffed bear on the phone to his girlfriend.
Yes,
like blazing some 80s tunes, man.
Yeah, just don't forget me when you write the tip.
I love that. That infers to me that John McClane gets to write the amount of money he's going to tip that the Nakatomi Corporation are going to pay to Argyle. I think that's fantastic. Like, just when you sign for the tip, like, I was like, yeah, all right, I'm going to give you $1,000 because fuck this company.
Although I think John McClane wouldn't do that. He'd probably give him a good tip. I just don't think.
Oh, John McClane would probly give him $1 million after the event of the first film, man.
At the end of this movie, Argyle's the one that carries him away, and he's going to get the tip of the century.
Now, yes, but I'm saying just in general, if there was no terrorists, he'd be like, all right, I'll give you a decent tip,
Oh, yeah.
There was no terrorists. We wouldn't be here.
It'd be a really shit movie.
Even worse fucking podcast, wouldn't it? Christ.
Yeah. It'd be just family drama.
Party and
we're here to discuss a short film from the 80s that no one ever really went anywhere and ruined a promising actor's career. Because it didn't fucking go anywhere.
It's a documentary.
It's called Argyle, the limo driver.
I'd watch that right now. I'd watch that follow up. That would be killer. What did he go on to do? Where is Argyle now? Like, he's probably he sat through a hostage situation in Nakatomi Plaza. He probably got some news coverage. I reckon he started his own limo company, and he's sitting pretty.
There we go.
I think he's had the best, the most successful life out of everybody in that movie.
Sir, he's got other people driving him now.
Yeah.
He just had to do it once. Like, that was his first limo job, right?
Oh, you're right. That was his first time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Can you imagine just like all that happening on your first day of the job?
Amazing.
Oh my goodness. Excuse me, boss. The car's kind of totaled. I ran it into a ambulance truck.
Yeah. Yeah, which I didn't really understand the context of at the time, but it turned out to be the right thing to do. I had a feeling, and I could hear on the radio things were going south, but I wasn't entirely sure what was happening down there. And I took a punt and I ran it into this this ambulance truck. Speaking of ambulance trucks, and this segue does work, there was a lot of casual drug use in this film, mainly pretty much all by Ellis. Fuck Ellis, man. Ellis just doing coke in Holly's office, and I love it. Like, McClane's like, you missed some, right in front of like the boss.
Hey, Neil, show him your watch. Show him your watch.
Show him the watch.
Yeah.
Show him the watch. It's a Rolex.
It's a Rolex.
Yeah, I gotta admit though, even with the writing, his charisma and his douchiness is really great. He really
he's a master douche.
Well.
Master douche.
And it turns out he ended up becoming a director himself. I mean, I don't know what he's directed. Where is it?
No need for that name.
Well, there's always
no
time
humming.
for
music.
There's always time for the girl from Ipanema.
This is getting cut out, right?
It may do, it may not do, Jose. Depends how long it takes you to find it.
He did. He did The Buzz, Politically Correct Party Animals, High School High, Just Add Water, and NCIS New Orleans. That's what he directed.
Oh wow!
Right, so not much then, to be fair.
Not much.
Sadly.
Okay, I thought he had done more.
He went more for quality. He went more for quantity, not quality. Then I see.
My next note in the script. My next note literally just says, "Already, fuck Ellis. Can he be shot to death?"
And what do you know?
What do you know?
How much did you forget while watching this?
He's highly punchable, isn't he? Like,
they take the moment away from us. You just hear the gunshot, and you don't ever really see him dead. You sort of see a back shot of his, like, the bullet through his head.
They carry him out. Him out.
You see him getting dragged.
I want to see, like,
you're watching John McClane's reaction to it, right? Because he tries to save him in that moment.
What about a bastard like that? You just want to see him, like, properly gunned down and see it all. You know, that's it.
Bubba, I can give you the guy. Sorry, I had to say it.
We do have to bring up a little bit of McClane's 80s style toxic masculinity because, we know him and his wife, they have this whole his job versus her job thing. And, being the 80s, it's kind of he can't accept that she's got the better paying job and is just like buggered off to LA. And of course, you've got that whole LA versus New York thing going on as well. Anyway, so yeah, we got a nice bit of a reconciliation here. He's a dad. He clearly wants to see his kids at Christmas. He's bought a bear, only the one bear though, because why? But anyway, she says, "Look, the kids want you there," and he does a look. I want you there, and then he picks a fight with her about changing his name. No, John, bad McClane.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting is later on in the movie, she comes to Hans and is like, "You made me the boss. You killed my boss," which makes you realize that she's really high up in this company. So McClane's actually
she's number 2.
Head of corporate affairs is written on her door. That's her job.
Interestingly enough, Ellis has got a better office than her because at one point she says, "I covet his private bathroom."
Oh yeah, right.
So, like Ellis must be in some way higher up or have a better office. Yeah, because he's a guy probably.
Was he head of sales?
Ellis, no, he was head of. It just said Ellis, coke fiend.
He was. I think he was the corporate sales manager or something, wasn't he? He was like the guy because that's what he tries later.
Brokering deals when he. That's what. Yeah, that's why how he dies
for coke.
It's really interesting to just see that McClane would be that just hesitant to when she's number 2 in a corporation that's so big. And he's like, 6 months, she'll be back. I'm like, okay, that shows real flaws right there.
I'd be a stay-at-home dad. Like
exactly.
Fuck work.
Yeah, especially being a cop as well in New York. Like the second you could retire, like you'd be like, oh, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. We don't have bulletproof vests. Everybody's got a gun twice. Like I don't need this. Like, come on, man. And you know what? Like going back really quickly to the drug use. I'm amazed more people weren't doing coke in this movie. Like it's like the one corporate guy's doing coke. No, come on, man. 1988. Everyone's getting that good shit from straight from Colombia. Everyone's doing it. Like the only person that shouldn't have been doing coke was the pregnant woman. Like I don't get they tamped it right down.
I think that was probably done on purpose just to kind of focus on Ellis being the guy that everyone hated the most.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Fuck you, Ellis. But a little bit after that, we get the introduction of the bad guys, the German bad guys. We get Carl going chainsaw crazy for absolutely no reason on some pipes. Well, like the guys beneath him's like, "What are you doing?" Like just looking up at him,
a telephone wire or something at the time, isn't it? That's what it is. He could have completely fucked the plan up and just being like.
By the way, you realize that they're brothers, right?
Mm-hmm. I do now, yes. Jose. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's why he was so pissed off when he was the first one to die.
Jeffrey Dahmer, did the Jeffrey Dahmer look alike?
Oh my God! Why did I just realize that?
Yeah, man, I was sad when he died. I wanted more of Jeffrey Dahmer.
I mean, I think that says more about you, David, than we like to honestly share.
He had a great, really first interaction with John McClane. It's like, aren't there rules against that for a cop? It's like that's what my captain keeps saying. Just that little bit.
Oh yeah, you're police. You have rules.
Yeah.
Now, do you think we should have actually heard what they were saying in German? Because there was a lot of German in it, and it just says German in the subtitles.
Oh, you're right.
Like, would have been a bit more character building. Modern day now, you'd hear everything they say, wouldn't you? And it'd help you a bit more. But I think in the 80s, people were like, nah, fuck it, they're Germans. We don't need subtitles.
And who's reading subtitles in the 80s, like on an action movie?
People could barely read, right?
And in not giving like the subtitles away, isn't that like putting you more in the POV of like John McClane and like the guests, and you're a part of the
it's a good point, David.
Situation kind of thing.
I like that observation from David, because I was going to say the same thing. As I think that adds to the intensity or the hostility or anxiety of it. I think because if you don't know what they're saying, even with the subtitles, the audience is still kind of like, what's going on? And it helps with the surprise at the end of the movie.
And then, of course, this then leads us to Rickman.
Mr. Rickman.
Sir Alan. He's so fucking good, man.
Yeah.
Just so good in that. Well, like when he just walks in, he's got his little book, having a little flick for his book, reads out his little bit.
Name me a movie that Alan Rickman's not good in. You can't do it.
I can't.
That's hard.
No, you can't do it.
Yeah. No. It's funny that you say when he was reading the book and talking about the stats. I remember one thing I do remember when I first watched that movie. I guess I just wasn't understanding what he was saying. So as he was walking all by these Asian men, I thought he was talking facts about each man so that he already knew who the one he was going for was. but it turns out he was just reading the resume, still looking for that guy.
So how does he know that all that information about that guy, but doesn't know what he looks like?
What he looks like.
There's
I thought that as well,
one
man.
picture of the bloke anywhere.
He's like the head of the Nakatomi Corporation. You think he might be a bit more well known?
I mean, obviously they didn't have the internet, but I'm assuming they had newspapers. There was definitely a way for him to figure that out.
Yeah. Like, what if he figured out that he went to like Harvard and he got like all that random information, but not a single photograph.
Again, the writing just a little off sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are plot holes if you want to get into them, but I don't, because that's ruining the enjoyment of the film.
I'll tell you what, though, touching on that, this is probably one of the most consistent movies I've ever watched. Like, there are very few, if any, actual inconsistencies with this movie, because it's such a simple story and it's so well executed. Like, they don't miss, like, if John McClane gets shot, obviously, like, he has the correct amount of bullet holes and stuff, but like, there's also no points in this where I go, oh, hang on, he's wearing the same thing as he was in the last take. There's none of those. So, like, so it's great.
Fun fact is, as soon as he goes into the air duct, his shirt went from like kind of dirty to completely dirty.
Because it's really dusty in air ducts because it's full of dust.
But going back to your comment about things coming around, Gennaro, Miss Holly, putting the picture frame down, face down, was the only picture of her and her husband. And that was what it was able to kind of allow them to lengthen the period of time before they knew who she was.
Who he was,
That was a great little subtle thing that you don't even think about when she does it in the beginning of the movie.
Would you have the photo there in the first place?
Yeah,
like, I get it's got your kids, it's your family, but if you've got that big of a fucked up marriage that you've changed your last name, I don't want a picture of that guy in my office.
And she makes a point, because I thought, she's done it to, like family, Japanese values and all that kind of thing. But no, then she changed her name, so that doesn't jive with that, does it? So yeah, good point there.
Yeah, there we go.
It's when McClane first turns up at the tower, and he goes to the bloke at, like, is it a security guard? Is it like the receptionist?
Security guard, yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, just punch it. Like, I'm fine. I want to find my wife, Holly. Punch your name into the thing. Oh, she's on this floor. Oh yeah, everybody's on that floor. Just fucking say that the first time. Why making like they just want to show off the cool little tech thing?
I made that exact point because when I was watching it yesterday. My girlfriend, she went, "Well, maybe he just wanted to check that he actually knew someone that was in the office and he wasn't just walking in randomly."
I just thought the receptionist security guy didn't give a fuck. Like, just type it in, man. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if all of them were true.
All of the above.
Yeah, he could have just clicked any name on there though, and it would have just said, "Oh, they're on the 30th floor."
But did you know it is 35 minutes into the film before we get McClane's first one-liner, which is like, "Why didn't you stop him, John? Because you'd be dead too, asshole."
There we go. Yeah, that's his character.
35 minutes.
It's a one-liner to himself as well.
Yeah, because he does loads of the one-liners to himself, which are some of the best ones in the film.
Some of the best ones.
And yes, film. Jose pulled me up on this note because I completely forgot. I was like, "Well, why is he barefoot?"
Oh, dude!
And then and then Jose put in capitals and in red, "Really, Neil? Question mark? Question mark." I was like, "Oh yeah, fists with toes." I forgot.
Yeah, the worst air travel advice ever.
My next note says Rickman enjoying the canopies, and of course his canopies are ruined by. Now I have a machine gun. Ho ho.
I mean, like that's quite an interesting choice that he made there. Like as a hero, like he's just shot someone. He spent 45 minutes, however
being really subtle.
However far through the siege that we are, being hiding from everybody, and then he kills someone, and then delivers him directly into the bad guys, where he could have had another 20 minutes of hiding before they figured out what was going on. So.
But again, I think it goes into creating flaws for the main antagonist, for the hero. He is known to be a guy who likes to aggravate other people. And so I think this is where you're right. It's not a great idea to do it, but he just did it because, you know what? I'm going to stick my finger in this and make it really annoying. And
I'm going to shove my finger up his butthole.
All right, Neil, go easy.
Before we even move on from this, one little fun fact that I noticed while watching, the guy who's supposed to be dead, Alan Rickman goes to move his head to do something, and you see him blink just before he touches his face. So I was like, error right there. Yeah.
Well, haven't we missed out on a really important death as we get to this point, because the boss, the Nakatomi Tower boss, he gets murdered like in front of him on that cool table. John McClane is like crawling around on the floor, like not underneath anything in cover, just trying to like stay hidden. And then he watches them like, try and coerce the codes for the vault out of him.
Yes, I think this is a great setup because it shows off two things. Hans Gruber stays cool under pressure because he doesn't really care about the codes. He just wanted to try the easy way first. And two, as soon as he knows, okay, you're not going to give me the code, boom.
He just flat out executes him.
Do we think he did know the codes and he was just willing to die for the company?
No, not at all. No, I don't think he knew him, and I think he died in vain, because that makes his death even worse.
Yeah, honestly, I agree. I don't think he really knew, but I think at the same time, he didn't seem that worried, which is why I was like, oh, he just thinks they're going to let him back to the crowd, and he's just going to figure things out later.
Okay.
But yeah, having that death, I think, was awesome in terms of like just surprising the audience and John McClane, like, oh shit, they're for real.
Yeah, it sets the stakes, doesn't it? Like the stakes are really high. It's like they're willing to, and he just goes, "Oh, we'll do it the hard way." Alan Rickman's just like, "All right, we'll do it the hard way," and they're going to drill the locks, and
I love to after that, but as well, where McClane starts writing down on his wrist how many terrorists and how many he's killed.
Mm-hmm. He reads off of it at one point, doesn't he? He reads off of like he crosses them out at some point, and like he reads off it. But yeah, I don't think. Oh, maybe that's my continuity there. At some point, have they all rubbed off?
He was probably sweating a lot, not a lot of room in those vents.
True.
All right, my next note says Ellis is still a knob, and then we get to Oi No Switchboard Karen of the 80s, which is when McClane gets a radio, calls like the emergency response number, and they're like, "Excuse me, sir, can you please get off the channel?
This is an emergency channel." Number. Yeah, no shit, lady.
Yeah. What am I doing? Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza? He's literally called about an ongoing terrorist attack, and they tell him to get off the channel. Then he goes, "Oh, by the way, they've literally killed the boss," and they just double down. Oi, no switchboard Karen of the 80s.
There's gunshots heard as well. They hear gunshots at the end, and they're still just like, "Send the black and white. We'll get the black and white to check it out."
I think that really emphasizes the time that back then, prank calls were a big deal in the U.S. That kids used to do that all the time.
The Jerky Boys.
That too. So I think that as of right now, we realize that, oh, that's so annoying. But back then, that didn't seem like, I don't think that was a big deal. Like, oh, okay, they think it's prank kids. That seems reasonable, So it's really, again, another flashback to a different time where the internet didn't exist. Phone calls you couldn't really tell who they were coming from. So it definitely allowed for opportunities like this to really make it into the movie.
Is this the first time that we see the incompetence of the entire LAPD police force?
I think so. This is kind of where it starts into
the first moment, right? Because there's not. I'm throwing Al in there as well. There is not a single competent police officer.
Ouch! I guess you're right. Al was really nice.
Like, he's a nice guy, yeah, but he wasn't. Like, he shot a teenager, for fuck's sake. He's not a good.
But that gives him a reason, David.
I know that was a nice moment at the end, but yeah,
he's a side character and he gets a brilliant.
That was good. That was
I loved it. Yeah. But Al doesn't even appear in the film until 45 minutes in, and immediately within his opening scene, we know his wife's pregnant, and he's too old for this shit, clearly, and he's African American in the 80s, which means I know, because obviously, but if you're watching this for the first time, you'd be like, okay, so how long till Al gets horribly murdered? Because that's what happens all the time.
Right.
So they go against the standard type here, which was quite good. Because, again, watching it, Al survives. But if you weren't and you're watching this for the first time, knowing what it was like in the 80s, you'd be like, fucking man, oh no, he's got a family. He's getting stuff for his pregnant wife. He's fucking dead.
He knows the intricacies and the complete ingredients for a Twinkie as well. So, he's got some serious street knowledge there as a cop.
I got a bit about Carl here. They got the machine gun fight with Carl and John, and I was laughing, man, because this looks so bad when I was watching it yesterday. Carl is just walking slowly, holding his gun up like a fucking shield, which it clearly isn't. It's a gun. And then McClane is just randomly firing in any direction. It doesn't even look like they're in the same scene until like the last couple of shots. It's like the editing choreography on it was terrible when I was watching that, man.
I just figured Carl was trying to keep the the element of surprise by being quiet, going the opposite direction from the other guys, because there's only so many directions you can go on the rooftop.
Yeah, so I figured it was like he was sort of being badass and scouting him out. Just looking about, like seeing where he is. Oh, fucking dumb move because he's out in the open.
That would have worked fine, David, except for then McClane's just running around screaming, firing in any direction. So it makes... Yeah, Carl is a badass here. Carl looks like he means business. Carl is going to fuck up your shit. And then John's just like, bang.
Yeah, John McClane is just doing what anybody with a machine gun would do in that situation that doesn't have any training whatsoever. That would be my go-to move. I'm just going to keep shooting this thing until I've got no bullets left.
I have to go back because you just reminded me of a comment that I needed to make at the beginning when the terrorists first arrive on the party floor. If you really are looking at it, they're shooting their guns throughout the entire time they're trying to corral people. And I'm like, I feel like they're wasting way too many bullets just trying to get people's attention. It's like, you probably just need to shoot a couple into the ceiling right away and then get people out. But the whole time, like literally the whole time they're dragging people out of the side offices, you hear gunshots. And I'm like, how many bullets do these guys have? That's
loads of bullets.
Wild.
Loads of bullets. Loads. You got to remember they're trying to corral a bunch of people that are absolutely off their faces on coke as well. So it's going to take 1,000 more bullets per person to get their attention.
And not actually shooting them, just around them.
Yeah.
So like shock them back into When we did have like the initial bit where Theo and the other guy and Eddie come in, I was like, okay, they're all German. But then, who was this other guy? And of course, these are one they leave on reception, who is American. So that was clever writing there. I was like, okay, obviously you're not going to leave a German on reception, even though
I thought he was German with a good American accent.
I thought that as well. I thought he was
That's
German.
What it is.
He was just very good at.
Because when Alan Rickman finally gets runs into John McClane, he puts on that horrible American accent, which is even by Rickman standards not fantastic. Although I feel like he did it on purpose to get back at the Mary Poppins movies where the English accent was god awful and terrible. So he makes everything right.
Well, I found out I had done a little bit of research watching interviews that McTiernan actually decided that he didn't like the accent himself and wanted it dubbed, but it just didn't happen. And they left his original bad regular accent. It's not Southern. The guy at the door is a Southern accent. But yeah, so Alan Rickman, he said he didn't even admit to it being great, but I thought it was appropriate for the movie.
Yeah, I think it was. I wouldn't have questioned it because obviously we know who he is at this point. What I do like as well is as Al just wanders in. Yeah, I'm just gonna have a look around. Yeah, everyone's cool here. I definitely thought like Al was gonna die. Like first, I was like, Al was just gonna die horribly. Like everyone else, they just execute outright, and then Al gets to go away. He's got a pregnant wife. Clearly, he's gonna die. But he's out there, gets back in his car, and then just John, the terrorist, just from the roof onto the car, and of course. When he looks up, welcome to the party, pal. Excellent.
Al's outbreak is just like the expletives that come out of his mouth as he's reversing. Oh, sweet Jesus Christ! Oh my God! And he's just he just buries the gas pedal, flies backwards, wrecks his car, gets out, and is still like, all right, I'm just going to help out here. Like, it's
but what I love during that sequence as well. What did we do? We cut back to our guy who is still on the phone.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what mobile phone plans are in the 80s, but that has got to be costing Nakatomi Corporation some money, man.
Right? Here's a fun fact. I think in the background you can actually see as he's driving back, he hits a bump and the body flies off of the hood of his car. It's that. I forgot to check it, but I remember hearing about it in one of the things I was listening to. So it was pretty funny.
So we're up to about 58 minutes in, and we get the first appearance of William Atherton, also known as Walter. This guy has no dick. From Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I completely forgot how much he was involved in this movie.
I just why wait till almost an hour in to introduce him? And I get the only reason he's introduced is so that they can later on use him exposing who Holly is. Yes. Or Rickman could have just picked up the picture in the office, which she looks at it at one point, and he sees her look. He could have just picked it up and gone, who is this?
Yeah.
So you didn't need him in it at all, really.
Well, no, I disagree. I think it's important. It's unequivocal, right? So it's Holly's face that gives away that he's talking to her kids. Like he's about to leave the office. Alan Rickman, Hans Gruber is about to leave that office, and he looks, and Holly's face is just staring at the TV screen that he's got, that little portable TV, and she's like terrified. And then he looks, and then he picks up the picture. And like the things that have to happen for that to actually make sense are like Hans Gruber has to have met John McClane, because he could have picked that picture up, looked at it, and gone, "The fuck is this nerd?" Like, if he hadn't have met him, he wouldn't know who that is. It would make no sense. So he has to have met John McClane. It has to be like a genuine reaction as well. Like, if she'd have hidden better that they were like talking to her kids, like it would make sense. But also, the kid has to say, "My mum and dad, mummy and daddy," like. And then that's what ties that whole thing together. It's a real like perfect storm of stuff that has to happen for that scene to make sense. And they threaded it together really well. I don't think it's an afterthought. I think it's a really important like focal point of that script. And they really did it well.
Well, okay. Then.
Made you seem like a dick, Neil.
Yeah, this man has no dick.
Yeah, again, I think the writing, it's amazing to think that, because one of the things I found was that they had the general idea of the story, but they didn't have the ending when they were starting filming. Which
you know what? And I wondered that, because I think the first hour of the film and I thought it slowed a little bit, which seems bizarre to say once all the action starts kicking off a bit more. But once all the cops come and arrive, you're introducing more characters into it. So you've got like the useless police captain guy. And I was just like, okay, I don't really care about this guy. He's a knob. You've got Al there, like relaying information. Before that, it was just cutting between John and the terrorists and the hostages. And now you've added in Peck, you've added in those. So at that point, it kind of got a bit, not messy for me, but just it wasn't as clean. I was like, I was like, all these other new people coming in.
They tend to like take someone out of the picture when they introduce someone. So it's like when the FBI guys come in, they kind of let the cops take a back seat.
Johnson and Johnson. And
it's more about the FBI guys. You don't get as much from the police captain. So they balance that quite well. It's a really long movie as well. I didn't realize this, but it's 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I forgot how long it was.
And it has to be so that they can put those characters in, move them to one side, and give someone else the limelight. Like it's great directing.
How much can an LAPD armored car stand? Apparently 2 rocket attacks.
I was surprised too. I was thinking that I was like, man,
hit him again. What? And that line, oh my god,
that was like military.
Oh my god, the quarterback is toast.
Yes.
Also, did they even need to hit that car, that armored car? Because it gets, I don't know if you notice this, but when it gets to the steps, it just fucking stops. It grounds out. They just if Hans Gruber just gone, wait, it would have been like, it gets to the steps, it's like, can't get up the stairs. Fuck, you know why? Because it's a car. They don't go upstairs. Dumbass. You don't have to blow it up. You just can't do anything more. Just fucking leave it there.
So I get that the FBI need to be there for Hans Gruber's plan to go to work. But what does the chief, like the deputy chief of police, actually bring to the party, to the film, to the film in general?
He brought the initial ineptitude.
Just more incompetence. Is that it?
Because
spectacular incompetence.
Slap it on there.
I think what it is you think, okay, the police isn't getting it done, but now the FBI is going to get it done, and you're thinking, okay, maybe the FBI is going to get it done.
All they needed there was one line, right? Because obviously John can't say that he's a cop on the radio, because that would tip off all the Germans. But what he could have done, Al could have said to the captain, I think he says to him, actually does say to him, doesn't he? I think he's a cop.
Oh, not a bartender? Because he knows how to see a fake ID. I actually like that rebuttal. It made it a little more sense, you know?
I mean, they're definitely coming from a place of mistrust. The whole situation is fucked. And that police chief is not only trying to make sense of what's happening in front of him, he's also trying to make sure that the department don't get in another trouble.
Job's worth.
It's a huge building. The corporation.
When they get to the point of turning off the lights, he's like, I got to clear this with the mayor. But the FBI is like, we're the freaking government. We get to do what we want. And so
you're going to lose your job unless you do
he throws that in his face, isn't he? He's like, oh, you want you want authorization? How about the United States fucking government? Right? And it's like, oh, cool. Another person just needs to get punched in the face. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Speaking of people who need to get punched in the face, that brings us out to Ellis once again. And
oh yes.
Is he not dead yet?
It's coming, don't worry, man.
But soon. Now, I actually thought Ellis could have gone full scumbag here and just absolutely outed Holly. I thought that's what he was going to do. I didn't think he actually tries, but this plays into what you said earlier, guys, that No, he's like the top negotiator guy. So he's going to like negotiate a deal. Hey, booby, I'm your white knight. You know,
Oh, man. He also wants to fuck Holly as well. So I mean, like, he's trying to like.
Yeah, I think he wants to fuck anything that moves because of
he
the
can
coat.
He can throw John McClane under the bus and then end up with Holly. Like, he's trying to win for himself 10 times over.
Yeah,
makes him even more hateable.
And he's still doing cocaine. And at the time, then I completely forgot. He's definitely going to dob John in because he's a twat. And he kind of, but there's that line that he comes out with. Was it Camel Jockeys, Hebes, Northern Irish?
God Almighty! When I watched that yesterday, I was shocked. I was like, that is the most racist 3 seconds of a movie that I've seen in a long time.
I couldn't believe they.
Say it again.
No, don't say it again. So I'm not sure I really caught the levity, the context. What can you enlighten me a little bit without?
I think Ellis is basically saying, like, he's trying to like play up to Rickman. He goes, "Look, you guys are sophisticated European terrorists. You're not camel jockeys, Hebes, Northern Irish."
Oh, okay. Middle Eastern.
They were the big terrorist groups of the 80s, weren't they? They were like, you know, if you.
I'm surprised that obviously we don't want people cutting stuff in films for sensitivity, but you know, I'm surprised Disney Plus didn't have this film contains outdated language and terms that some people may find, because that's like the bare minimum you do these days. Oh, that's what the standard response should be for older films. You know, you can't. I mean, like you say, we're enjoying it through the lens of what it was. And you know, we're joking about some of the stuff that's said in it and representations in it of the through the modern lens now. But I mean, at the time, no one had any problem with these lines. That's a problem. It's not a problem then, but it's a problem now. That's just the way you've got to look at it. Because
I mean, society evolves and language evolves with it, and you realise that some stuff's not cool to say and other stuff is cooler to say. So like you know, in every like iteration of going back and watching movies like this, you've got to, you know, there's a certain amount of suspending disbelief, and there's a certain amount of just like accepting that was what was, and we don't want that now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I also think it's a form of entertainment that it's in as well. Because, for instance, that line would still be acceptable if Jimmy Carr says it tomorrow in his next stand-up show. Because he says fucking shit like that all the time.
I mean,
like,
I guess
that would
in
be
context.
acceptable.
Oh, you mean contextually, if it was stand-up versus movies versus music versus right.
Yeah.
So there's some areas in society where stuff like that is like, it's still fine.
Yeah, Jimmy Carr is a really good comedian that could make it work because he wouldn't just be saying it blatantly. He would put it in a context that would be like, "Oh, this is what was said in the movie," you know.
I think it's straight up like
I think there's an element of intelligence that matters as well. Like if you have to truly understand what it is that you're saying and what you're trying to put across, so that you understand every angle of it, so that when you do put it across, you put it across in a way that is that you recognize that it is offensive to people and that you are using it in the way of comedy and stuff like that. And I think this whole podcast could be about that, and we would never ever like answer all the questions and get to the bottom of it all. But in the context of this movie and what it was, like, it shocked me because I haven't seen it for so long. But also,
it really stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. And it also highlights, like, it's a time capsule moment in that, like, that was an acceptable way for people to talk about that. And also, he's kind of, the character is throwing a Hail Mary. He's trying to relate to relate to those particular terrorists by saying, you're smarter than, you're the cool terrorist, you're better than this group of other terrorists, you know. So, you know, it's
appropriate for what he needs to say in the movie.
Yeah. And once again, we get more Coke for Ellis, but actual Coca-Cola this time. Enjoy that last
placement.
Yeah. Having said that, I will say fair play. The one thing Ellis did well, he did not mention that Holly was McClane's wife. But like you said, it's probably because he wanted to bang her. Finally, Hans demands. He wants some revolutionaries free. Except, no, it's all bollocks and a joke. And I love that. I completely forgot about that as well. Like, he's like, I want this person free. And then Carl just looks at him. He's like, I read about them in a magazine. Carl's look is superb.
I read about them in Time.
I read about them in Time magazine.
That's
a classic.
We just went full Snape, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we get Agents Johnson & Johnson. And what's the line right after that? Fuck off, Dwayne.
I gotta admit, I think I only saw it in one moment, but apparently I don't know, I can't confirm. One of them is Big Johnson, one's Little Johnson. Right. But I didn't have enough time to research if that was actually what they're supposed to be.
Oh my god!
Isn't Johnson
it wasn't like
another name for penis?
Yes,
and their name's
that's
Big
correct.
Johnson and Little Johnson.
That's what makes it so much better.
It's an accurate name because they both just come to fuck everything up. So
I actually thought because it was the 80s, it was a joke about Johnson and Johnson shampoo.
Oh wow.
Oh, maybe. You never know. This
Like
is
the
a pretty
baby
layered.
wipes.
Yeah.
Johnson,
Is Johnson & Johnson a pharmaceutical company, or is that...
They make a lot of cleaning supplies and hand soaps. And
I just remember it being a shampoo, right, in the 80s in the UK.
Shampoo as well, yeah.
Also, it's another multicultural event, isn't it? Because you've got two FBI agents, one's black and one's white, and it's like, but it's funny because they seem to both have a very similar backstory or whatever you get of it. Because when they're in the helicopter, like the
oh, you're right.
Like you find there's like a Vietnam thing there, and like it's quite interesting. But the white Johnson was the actor who was the bad guy. He was a Bond villain.
Yeah.
And he was also the bad guy in The Mask, if you remember that Jim Carrey, a masterpiece.
Well, now this brings us up to Hans Gambit, where he bumps into McClane, and I'd completely forgotten about that scene. We went over the accent earlier.
Oh God, you're one of them.
Yes.
Please don't kill me. I loved it though, man. I'd completely forgotten that happened in the film. I did not realize they bumped into each other at that point. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, and again, it sucked me in watching it. I was just like, oh no, like, what are you giving a gun for, you dumbass? He's plainly going to shoot you in the back as soon as you turn around. And then he goes to do it, and then he's like, he just clicks straight away. I was like, yes.
With
that's such a well-written scene, man.
The names on the wall just right next to him and seeing the wrong initial, that's so good.
Also, I wondered about the cigarettes, because I mentioned about the European cigarettes earlier on and how they're a lot stronger and harsher. And then he gives him one and he like smokes it no problem.
Oh, I didn't catch that
one. Dude, that's a great catch. That's a really good catch. I never noticed that.
Someone else mentioned that and some research I read, so I can't take credit for it.
Take full credit, Neil. Cut that section where you don't take it. Just
out of us four, you're the one that caught it. So well done.
Right at that moment when you get that reversal, you get another reversal when the door from the elevator dings. And someone mentioned that whenever an elevator dings, almost every time
an angel gets its wings. No, sorry.
Almost every time an elevator door dings, something bad just progressively happens. So like there, he's attacked by. Well, I mean, earlier the elevator delivers C4, and then there his henchmen come to come give him backup right before they shoot the glass. So and then
glass. But also, who gives a shit about glass?
Famous last words.
That is funny. I do like the fact that they reference the fact that, because we're going to go on to the bit with the shoes, with his bare feet. But like they do reference that in one point where he's like, I had to shoot the one bad guy with feet smaller than my sister. He's trying that guy's sneakers on, and I was like, it's just little things like that. And this is the thing that bothers me about some modern movies when you've got tiny little bits of exposition like that are throwaway, kind of funny, and it just explains everything you just need. It's just like, it's done. Everything you need to worry about is it's smart, it's short, it's funny, it's it works. And you get movies today that don't even bother with that. They have
they go for the laugh and that's it, don't they?
Yeah, or the exposition is kind of ridiculous, or like it's long-winded, and it's like you don't need it to be. Like they pander to like what they think is a stupid audience when it's not. Like people are smarter than you're given credit for in the movies these days.
And of course, I love the line where Holly then says, when they come back down after, she goes, "Only John can drive someone that crazy." I was like,
"Oh, that's great."
He's alive.
That's when he's once again using his gun as a baseball bat and smashing everything in sight.
Yeah.
Honestly, that gun gets through some abuse in that movie. Like,
you're right.
It's bad times.
It just also proves Germans don't know how to play baseball.
She said cricket. Damn it.
It just shows you Germans don't know how to play cricket.
I might just leave that in, Jose. I might go with the original one there. You're American. Baseball's fine.
Fine. The laughter was better first time around.
Exactly. We can't fake it. I'm sorry. Now we then move to Al's story, and again, Al's only been introduced around the hour mark of the film, and we get a whole tragic backstory about him shooting a 13-year-old kid.
Brutal.
That was.
I mean, he's not. Again, I was like, he's definitely going to get killed again. Like, he's going to get, despite knowing,
build him up to let him.
It really is like one of those things where it's like, why are you mentioning this? And it's like, this is weird. You've already established the character.
Well, because in this type of film, especially in the 80s, the sidekick guy isn't going to be the one who takes down the baddie at the end, is he? It's going to be McClane. So you're not expecting it towards the end when
exactly. I think that's a great way to distract people and make them think. Like even for Ben, he thought he was. Wait, did you think he was going to die?
No,
or
no,
I didn't.
Oh,
okay.
Neil. Yeah, I didn't give that a thought. Like I didn't really know. I was just on the ride when I watched it the first time. But this is after the shoot the glass bit, right?
Yes.
The glass.
What's fun bit is he says it in German first. Yeah. And Carl's like, "What?" And he's like, "Shoot the glass," for the audience, and I thought that's awesome. It's just like subtle, and it shows that he was speaking in German first.
Makes me think that Carl's not actually German. I think he's faking it.
He's really Russian.
What?
How would we know? How would we know? Then we get Angry Carl versus McClane, the fight.
Yes.
Which was all kinds of awesome. Now, see, where I hated the action scene earlier, well, I didn't hate it. I just like the editing was bad for me on it. Like, it just didn't match. This is just fucking superb. Like, I was like, yes, this holds its own still to like today. And I'm surprised we didn't get a singer. Did he like, obviously, he hangs Carl up from the thing, doesn't he? And, like, hangs him.
Yeah, there's like a chain winch, and they're up on the stairs, and I think they're sort of wrestling over the banister of the stairs, and I think McClane's in the prone position, so he's the one in trouble, and he grabs the chain, puts it around Carl's neck, and gives it a yank, and then like pushes him over the side and hangs him, and then slams him into the wall on the runner, which is brutal. But like that scene, that whole fight scene, number one. Bruce Willis's stunt double is nothing like him. It's really obvious when it's not Bruce Willis. Like it's painfully obvious.
I mean, did he have long hair?
But some of those scenes, some of those parts of those scenes, like as someone that like studies martial arts, I'm like, man, all that hurts. Just every single thing they've done to each other there physically hurts. Like those actors are going through it, and I was like, you're not going to get much more authentic, like. Fight scenes now because everything's got to look flashy, it's got to look cool, whereas this is just two guys just brawling.
I think brawling, like again, I think it comes down to the whole production is like they really took the time to make it look authentic, and they what's cool is with the special effects, I didn't really mention it, but the company that did it, Boss Films, they'd been created just a few years prior. And it was I like the fact is that one of the guys who was in charge came from ILM, so that he had like quality in mind, and it was all done on film.
Had mad skills,
and so it's done on film so that the quality was kept up versus what some movies started doing in the 90s is being filmed in digital.
Now after this, McClane obviously Gruber's trying to get all the hostages to the roof and blow them up. Because, clearly he's changing his plan by the fucking minute here. Because that wasn't the original thing he wanted to do anyway. And then we find out it actually was what he wanted to do. Because, what's he say? If you steal a couple of million, they come after you. If you steal 640 million, you better be dead. I was like, that's class. That's clever. Again, brilliant example of the writing. But McClane's trying to get the hostage to go back inside by just firing his guns in the air. I did write fire at the hostages in my original thing, and Jose quite rightly corrected me. He's like, I mean, he's not throwing them at them because that would be he's murdering the hostages. I was like, yeah, you're quite right there, Jose. In the air, he was firing his guns in the air.
In the air.
How did Bruce Willis become an action hero after this? Because he just his aim and his just go-to move with Die Hard is like shoot his gun in the air near the person.
Yeah, he trained at the Stormtrooper School for movie making.
That explains it.
But he looked great in a vest, so of course he's going to be an action hero. Also, I need to go back to my earlier point of all of those people were on cocaine, so more bullets.
Need a bit more. Yeah,
I think with them all being on cocaine will answer my next question. Like at this point, there's only 3 terrorists left, right? How many are left?
Not many.
Why the fuck are they all just doing what they say? There's only 2 or 3 of them about. All right, they've got big guns, but there's 30 of them just fucking swarming.
You answered him, David, because they're all on cocaine.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. If they actually were all on cocaine, they'd all have delusions of grandeur and probably try and rush them anyway, just in a coke fueled frenzy.
Like, had not one person got that idea. It's just like, right, let's fucking go for it.
I feel like there should have been one who tried it and then just gets executed early on. That would have been good to do.
The only person that would have tried to get people together to do that was Ellis, and he's already dead.
And I think Ellis probably, despite the coke, was probably too much of a pussy.
You know what it is? His death was probably what deterred him.
They could have used the pregnant woman as like a meat shield.
Oh my god!
Lady Meat Shield.
No, hear me out.
Wow.
Hans uses when Hans first hears that she's pregnant, he's just like, "Oh fuck."
That's going in the show notes.
And then, so he clearly doesn't want to kill her because he's like, "Oh shit, she's pregnant. What am I going to do here?" And then he's like, "Oh, she's not due any sign there." Oh, good, okay.
I don't agree with anything you just said. on a moral, mainly moral point. Also, from the point of view of the movie, because I think honestly Hans Gruber would have killed that pregnant woman to prove a point if he needed to. I think that's his style.
All four words. Also, four of those words.
I don't like the term meat shield. And this is my first podcast with you, man. So like, there's a lot.
You're learning a lot.
It's a good insight into my psychology there. Like,
that's terrifying.
So, and I guess we want to move forward with the awesome.
Oh, we need to move forward.
Christmas
awesome
meat shield,
rooftop jump.
Yes,
which I noticed recently that it was recreated kind of in a way with Mission Impossible on the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah, it's exactly the same stunt, man.
The like opening the hole and then just knocking in before his line went off. Although I think honestly, Die Hard still did it better. Burj Khalifa just had a better view.
And Tom Cruise actually did it. Whereas Bruce was like, "Fuck that!" Just like paint the background in, man.
Well, I mean, in terms of like the whole setup, like he jumps from the roof, hangs, and then the actual thing pulls him back out. That he has to get it off of him. I think the suspense of it is just a little bit better, honestly. But no, okay, Tom Cruise did actually do it.
It holds up really well, though. Like I say, I remember watching it. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" when I saw that. So I remembered that scene,
and that's one of those consistency things that I was talking about because his foot's still bleeding when he kicks against the window. His foot's still bleeding, and it leaves like a smear of blood on the thing. And I was just like, "Man, he's been walking on his feet. Cool. That's not going to have a chance to heal. Like he's in trouble. Like it's great."
Yeah,
and then
a great moment.
As he's being pulled back out of the window, like he puts his feet on that ledge, and you're like, "Oh, he's got this." And then the thing that he puts his feet on starts moving. And it's like, man, they really have thought of how to put him in peril really well here. Like, this is really, really good.
And now we've got exploding helicopters, exploding rooftops. We're going to need some more FBI guys.
Yeah, that was my favourite line.
Well, also, and then I loved it where, we finally cut back to Carlisle and Theo's trying to get away like a little snitch. And Carlisle just, boom, takes him out, man. Loved it.
Yes.
Carlisle's a hero. He's a hero we need. He's a hero.
Carlisle.
Argyle,
yeah.
Argyle. I wrote Carlisle. Fuck.
Carlisle. You know what was great is when Carlisle. No.
Yes.
You know that Argyle was originally from Carlisle? It wasn't.
Anyway, that brings us to our final showdown.
Wait. I really do want to say something. I think Argyle and who was the guy with the computer skills? Theo. Okay. I want to say Argyle and Theo were actually really great characters for how small their parts were relatively.
Oh, definitely.
Because Theo was just getting through the walls, and then Carlisle he's the tech guy. But it was probably one of the most charismatic tech guys I've ever seen in movies. Even considering the one with Angelina Jolie, where it's Hack the Planet. I forget what that movie was. Hackers. There we go. Those two characters was just really well done for how small their roles were.
You know what it is with Theo? I think computer stuff was so new then. People didn't know that, oh, wait, there's a standard, computer nerd character hadn't been established in films.
Oh, wow.
So they were just like, he's just like, you've got a really charismatic actor there playing Theo. And, of course, like I say, because the trope of the geeky computer guy isn't established at that point, you've got someone with real fucking charisma doing it. And that's why it works.
Wait, here we go. When did Attack of the Nerds come out? Because that might not be correct.
Ooh.
I was just about to say, isn't Weird Science before that as well?
Correct.
That's a couple of more nerdy characters that are using computers to change.
Yeah, but they weren't in it. They're comedies. This is an action film.
So you can't have a nerdy guy being with a group of
comedy actor as the lead character.
No,
no. Neil puts his foot down. Neil Gruber puts his foot down.
All right. But
where are my detonators?
I like in your notes that you're talking about though when we get back to the killing of Hans Gruber, that the Rolex that was mentioned. I thought that was a really great callback. That because and really you don't even notice that she's wearing the Rolex. You just thought, oh, she got a Rolex. What? No big deal. Or
signification of the job versus, it's literally like and now you're free because you've thrown
Bruce
away.
Willis's. It's John McClane's final win over the job that pulled her away from him and the way that he sees it. I mean, look at the things that she has to go through. The sleazy exec that is hitting on her all the time gets killed. It's a fucking Ellis. It's lots of these things are of Holly's journey back to John, and him sort of rescuing his broken marriage, and that is the final thing. That is literally the last thing. At no point does John McClane punch him in the face, which would probably make him let go of that watch a bit quicker. Also, Hans Gruber's got a gun in his hand that he hasn't fired for a minute. And you see him in the slow motion, he's raising it up. I mean, I said to my girlfriend when we were watching this yesterday, when he's falling down, I was like, if that was me, I'd be vindictive, just empty that gun as I'm falling down, see if I can get it. but that's not what it's about. This is about John McClane and casting off the last of corporate America's hold on his beloved wife.
That's some beautiful symbolism.
I like that, but
restoring the family unit.
But here's something that if you notice when he meets Al at the bottom, he introduces her as Holly Gennaro.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of giving some back to her as well, allowing her freedom.
And then she corrects it to McClane.
Very true.
But what makes that scene bizarre and just absolutely stood out for me when I watched it, the music swells, not with Holly and John. The music swells with Al and John as they meet for the first time and run up and hug each other. And you're like, the music's on the wrong point. It's it's more a love story. It's a love story between Al and John rather than John and Holly, with the way the music cues are put in.
So, that is the point where Argyle comes smashing out of the parking garage, right? Yeah. At no point does the million SWAT guys just start firing at the car that's smashed out of the parking garage and A, no one knows is fucking there. B, is all smashed up to fuck. It looks like someone trying to escape the robbery and everyone just goes, whoa, let's give him a chance, hang on. And he pulls up next to John McClane, he's like, no, he's with me. And obviously, this is after the important part with Al where he shoots is it Carl? I forget the name.
He shoots
now.
Carl.
He shoots Carl, doesn't he? Yeah, because he rallies.
So they're not worried that someone else is rallying. They just just the car coming out of the garage.
Car comes out and he's screams to a halt at the same point where the police chief or the assistant police chief is telling John McClane that he's basically under arrest and that he's in loads of trouble. And the car comes smashing out, no one shoots him. John McClane just gets in the car and fucks off. There's no follow through from anybody. At no point does anybody goes, hey, fucking hold, hey, wait here, there's a million things you've got to write a statement. We want to debrief you. You're also under arrest because we think because he's still convinced that he's killed. He was part of killing Ellis. There's so many things at the end of that where you're just
he probably needs to go to hospital as well.
He's got at least one pretty serious gunshot wound and half a pane of glass in his foot.
Oh man,
Ben, that is why him and his wife are arguing again before the next movie starts, because he's had to deal with all this shit post the event. Man. It's just months of this bullshit. How was your day, honey? Fuck off. That's reaches for his bottle. That's what's been going on.
My God.
And that brings us to the end of the movie.
And Let It Snow.
Yes.
Which, just to clarify, makes it even more of a Christmas film.
Yes. It is a Christmas movie.
It is. No one's debating that.
Here, how does he not put his gun to his back? It's Christmas themed tape. That's
nice.
Where is the debate that it's not a Christmas movie?
Because it's an action movie.
Idiots, David.
It's mostly just because it's an action movie that people don't want to say, oh, it's not a feel good family movie, even though his marriage is saved and he has kids there too. But yeah, that doesn't matter. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I mean, you've even got the standard Christmas dun 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 dun, dun when they finally unlock the safe, haven't they?
Yes, and he says Merry Christmas.
And he says Merry Christmas as he unlocked it.
Theo says Merry Christmas. The first song that they play in the limo, isn't that a Christmas song?
Yes, it's
it's a rap
Run
Christmas
DMC.
Song. Yeah.
Christmas in Hollis. Cracking song.
And I think that discussion also allows it to be a Christmas song as well. So just because it's not the traditional what you're known for, it doesn't mean that it's not. I'm going to bring this statement to the conversation. Our favorite deaths, and for me, it's kind of like it is a death, but not quite. It's Marco. He gets shot to death at the table, and I love his last line. He's like, "When you get a chance, you take it." And he's like, "Thanks for the advice," but it's really more
good advice.
Honestly, it's what they do with Marco's body and throwing him out the window. That's what I enjoy the most. That is my favorite moment.
I would say that's probably the most important death. Every other death in the movie is necessary for John to survive, but that one is necessary for him to alert the authorities. So I would say not only is that a really great like death scene, it's also the most important in the movie.
Okay.
But Jose, a callback to what you said where he says good advice. Bruce Willis redid that line, delivers it exactly the same way in Sin City when he's underneath the table and shoots up through it.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I need to go back.
I've checked it for a while, but apparently in research that line was uttered.
I love that.
David, favourite death?
Takagi for me, just because of how fucking cold it was.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah. So he took that bullet like a champion as well.
Just shrugged it off and kept going.
I mean, he didn't, Jose. He was dead. He was clearly very dead.
What about you, Neil?
I'm going to go with my one I've been saying quite through the pod. Fuck Ellis. So that brings us on to the legacy.
Sorry, don't worry about mine. It's fine.
I thought you said Marco.
I thought you agreed with me.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just jumping in on your point. Like I was saying that it's most important death. I didn't say it was my favorite death.
Ben, what is?
I don't want to tell you now.
Your favorite death.
Well, it was going to be Ellis because I completely agree with Neil in like he deserved, but you don't actually see the death.
No, so it would have been nice to see him take it in the face, just like Takagi did.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it would probably be very satisfactory to
cathartic
to deal with. Yeah, cathartic. But I'm going to say my favorite death is the one that is probably the most action-packed death, and that is the FBI agents Johnson and Johnson getting blown to pieces, almost as like collateral damage from the building, the roof of the building blowing up, and then John McClane jumping off the side of the building in the fire hose. I mean, that whole thing as a scene. Like, is just the most elaborate, ridiculous, probably my favorite quote unquote death.
And it's the collateral damage that they themselves mentioned. It's like, oh, we lose 25% of the hostage or whatever. Yeah, they didn't give a shit.
They became their own collateral damage. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I forgot actually. There's one brilliant line near the end. I forgot where Rickman's falling off the roof. Ruby's falling off the roof, and the police captain goes, "I hope that's not a hostage."
Yeah.
That was so funny at that point.
That is so good.
One other death I would like to mention is the first death, and that's Heinrich. We all remember Heinrich. No, we don't. Let's be honest. He falls down the stairs, and that's it. I think he breaks his neck from falling down the stairs.
Yeah, the first death
is
accidental.
Yeah, accidental murder.
Is that the Jeffrey Dahmer look-alike?
Yes, that is Mr. Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, in a way, it's very important for him because now McClane has a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
He does.
Ho, ho, ho. Say. Now, right, so let's talk about pre-Die Hard briefly. Just because Die Hard popularised it doesn't mean this was the first film to set an average man against a group of bad guys. And I was looking around, doing a bit of research, and there was a Screen Rant article that lists some films that were kind of like early versions of this story. Ooh. So one is 1981's Nighthawk, starring an early Sylvester Stallone performance as an NYPD detective facing off against a menacing European terrorist called Wolfgar, fucking awesome name, played by, even more awesomely, Rutger Hauer.
Nice.
And also, Billy D. Williams is in it. What's the betting? Billy D. Williams is his police captain who just can't deal with his shit anymore. My question now is, how have I not seen this movie?
I mean, with those actors, now I want to see this movie too.
I want to see this.
I want to see that. 1981.
That could be a follow-up.
That'd be brutal.
Then some people have argued that The Enforcer, Clint Eastwood's third Dirty Harry movie, is similar, where Callahan has to outwit a terrorist group of Vietnam vets. Maybe. Yeah. 1948, you got Key Largo, and that's a really good example of the formula. Humphrey Bogart plays an army vet staying at a hotel with a group of gangsters, and he just takes them out one by one. I actually really want to see that as well now.
Wow. Okay. Humphrey Bogart, I do not see as an action star, so that's
why I really want to see it. Yeah. And the obvious one from the time, an obvious one from actually about 12 years before is John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13, where an average cop, played by Austin Stoker, and for some reason I couldn't even remember who the main guy was in it. The main guy is an actor called Austin Stoker.
Yeah. Yeah, when you started mentioning pre-Die Hard and inspiration, that's the one film that came to mind that I thought, okay, that one's got to be referenced a lot.
Not in plot development, but in just the tone and the feel of it, I think.
Oh, definitely.
It's thematically.
Because obviously it's a little different because the villains are trying to get into the building to kill the guy in the jail.
Yeah.
And while in Die Hard, they're all in the building trying to get out
steal money.
With money, yeah.
But a few casual executions here and there. Now, that brings us on to films that basically ripped off Die Hard. And I was researching through the internet and I thought, it's going to be obvious, right? There's going to be loads. Do you know what? No, I don't think there are, because I think so many of these articles I looked at were just very lazily researched and just seem to lump all action movies in the same bracket.
So Cliffhanger. When you're saying movies that ripped off, you want the specific plot point of one average guy taking on a group of skilled terrorists or people. So that doesn't necessarily have to be in a building or like something like that, but it's just got to be an average guy and a group of terrorists. Yeah, that is a very like small like plot. Plot. That's a very small group of people to
because if you look at most of these, if you look at most of the films that people say, so for example, Cliffhanger, Con Air, Passenger 57, The Rock, Speed, Air Force One. Speed, actually, you could argue, because he is just a regular cop in that.
I think he's a regular cop.
Yeah, but Air Force One's doesn't count, I don't think, because he's the
president, and he's also President Han Solo. So
yeah. And did you say Under Siege as well?
Under Siege, yeah.
Doesn't count. Borderline. Doesn't count because he's an ex-special forces guy.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. These are examples of ones that don't count.
Oh, sorry. You mentioned Passenger 57, which had one of my all-time favourite lines from any movie ever in it.
Right.
It's when Wesley Snipes makes it to the ground, like the plane is still in the air. Wesley Snipes makes it to the ground. The atypical angry like white police chief like arrests him, and as they find out who Wesley Snipes is, he goes, "Oh, sorry about that, son, but like, what would you do? And what would you do if you were me?" And Wesley Snipes just goes, "I'd kill myself." It is a line, and it is delivered with venom and absolute fucking like laser precision. It's one of my favorite lines of all time in any movie. It's fucking great.
I have to say that The Rock could be debatable because he's just an FBI agent that deals with explosives.
Yeah, but his buddy's an ex-SAS guy.
True.
Yeah. There's all this. If you've got extra special training, out.
What about Cliffhanger? Was Sylvester Stallone just a regular climber in that?
I don't know. Probably not.
I think
probably
he was
like ex-special forces special climber.
No, I think that one he was just happened to be a climber. Who had
it's just bullshit. I'm sorry. How can just a mountain guide guy be that? But also it's Stallone, so you just think, it's Rambo.
True, very true.
So I'm disqualifying him out. I will say, actually,
I don't like the way you've disqualified that. I'm going to stick up for it. No, Cliffhanger counts, man.
Okay, why?
Okay.
Because we don't know if he is just a mountain climber, he's just physically strong. That's fine. And that makes him less qualified than Bruce Willis, who is a cop and definitely has firearms training.
Oh, so you're correct, sir.
I think that's a fine line. I don't think you should discount that completely. We should have a look at if Stallone's character in Cliffhanger, who's probably called Cliffhanger.
He is a ranger.
An army ranger.
Like a forest
just says
ranger. Park ranger.
If he's a park ranger, it definitely counts. If he's an ex army ranger, then that definitely doesn't count, in my opinion.
It just says ranger. So
Power Ranger.
He's a Power Ranger.
He's a Chippendale Rescue Ranger.
I'm looking at a different description based on a mountain climber who becomes embroiled in the heist of a U.S. Treasury plane.
There you go, mountain climber. If it's a mountain climber, I think that counts. Yeah.
Then you can have cliffhanger.
Fuck yeah.
There we go. Cliffhanger. You got to put that in the Twitter. Cliffhanger is the only one we can agree on.
But I will say the best modern day take I've seen on the Die Hard, and it's so close in so many ways, is a film from last year starring David Harbour called Violent Night. Has anyone else seen this?
Oh, the Christmas one.
You know he's Santa Claus, right? He has special powers.
Yeah, he's a Viking. He's a Viking.
He's a former
Santa.
Viking. I'm like, I gotta admit, I really like that part. I was like, okay, this is character development.
But break it down. It's a rich family of arseholes who've got loads of money. Terrorists break in to steal their money, just as Santa's like dropping off thing to the one good like daughter of the family.
Yeah.
And because she'd written him a letter, he sticks around and just fucks shit up. There's a wood chipper. There's loads of good stuff, man.
Is that not just Home Alone?
It kind of is, but it's spectacularly more violent.
So is Home Alone like?
Yeah, but isn't Home Alone?
Where's the
it's
line?
Home Alone and Die Hard.
It's Home Alone and Die. It's Home Alone and Die Hard. Also, bizarrely,
Home Alone, I think what David's asking is: does Home Alone count as a Die Hard ripoff or homage? I mean, it's an untrained kid against two trained thieves.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Are they really that trained? Because he leaves the faucets on when he steals a home.
Yeah, because that's his calling card.
That's his calling card. I'd say
bandits, man. Come on.
I'd say it's
Why did they go back to his house for a second time? Why the fuck did they go back? They nearly got killed. Have you seen that? Have you seen that like Mythbusters where they do like they're like let's go through all the things that Macaulay Culkin puts those thieves through, and they're like after two of these things, I think the paint cans would have out and out just killed them dead. Why did they go back?
Doesn't he throw a brick off like a 3-story building up?
That's a sequel.
Square in the head.
He throws several. There's a flamethrower at one point.
Right, so let's get on to some pop culture references of Die Hard, and honestly, there could be 20 hours worth of this. I'm just going to do a few short ones. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, basically most of Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a reference to Die Hard, although there is a spoof episode, Yippee Kayak, and
is that the one where he's stuck in the department store? He's trying to buy Boyle a Christmas present, and he gets stuck in the department store, and he does a Die Hard.
I thought, was it that one, or was it the one where they go to the building that they thought it was actually used for Nakatomi Plaza?
I don't know. No, that's the one.
They just did that for a scene.
That's what. Isn't Al in that?
No, he's in the one where Jake's stag party.
That's it.
Yeah, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's one of my favourite shows.
Exactly. And of course, Friends, where the guys plan a Die Hard marathon, and Joey mistakenly rents the first film twice. So, of course, that leads into Bruce Willis guesting in Friends, sadly not as McClane, and they didn't even make a reference to it. Because I was Googling this going, surely they made a reference to like him being...
Yeah.
No references at all.
You look a hell of a lot like Bruce Willis. I've watched you in Die Hard, right? No.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, it could have been better written than that, to be fair, but you know.
Wasn't he playing like someone's dad?
He was playing Rachel's boyfriend. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, it was Ross's girlfriend's dad who was also dating...
That's what it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's it. Yep, Supernatural. He says, "Come to the coast. We'll have a few laughs in Supernatural." When Sam gets possessed, and then when he wakes up from being possessed, Dean says, "Hey, welcome to the party, pal."
Yeah,
that's class. Frank crawls through the air vents during a hostage situation in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's brilliant.
I remember that. And you can argue that the Harry Potter producers were big fans of Die Hard because when Snape kills Dumbledore, spoilers, his fall is framed exactly the same way as Gruber's death, of course, played by the Rickman.
I'll be honest, that was a bit of a stretch, but I'll allow it.
That's why I said you can argue, which you did.
Well, don't let him.
I'm arguing, Neil. I'm arguing.
I think we could argue that one until the cows come home. I don't think that's one. I think we should just let Neil live in his strange little Harry Potter fiction there. That's fine.
Speaking of cows, Bob's Burgers, they done an episode where Gene pitches Die Hard the musical. And he said, with the phrase, "Ever since I saw Die Hard, I said, why is nobody singing?" And I haven't seen that episode, so I must see it now.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
There's
also the Rick and Morty episode where Summer does a Die Hard for the whole
episode.
Die
Hard. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
That's the whole episode.
She just runs around shooting people going, Die Hard, Die Hard, Die Hard. It's like, she doesn't even know what Die Hard is. How could she be doing a Die Hard?
I love that. Yeah.
Now, the big question is, do we want to reboot? No,
is that the big question?
No.
Yeah, it's not really a question, is it?
I mean, look, I think I've seen Live Free or Die Hard, but I can't remember a thing about it. And I definitely remember seeing A Good Day to Die Hard, sadly, because I was in Australia, of all places, and a friend that I knew there went to school with Jai Courtney. Sadly, none of that made the film more better or memorable.
Wow.
With the Fox-Disney merger a few years back, there were actual plans to make Die Hard Year One, which would have seen a younger McClane in the 70s as a cop in New York. But yeah, of course, because if he does anything spectacular or good at all, it completely undermines his average Joe persona from Die Hard.
Yeah.
However, there is an 8-issue comic book called Die Hard Year One, which deals with a young McClane in 1976 during the summer of Sam. But by all accounts, it's excellent. But however, with I think just with Willis's retirement and the 5th Die Hard film just dying a death at the box office, they've just they've axed it. I mean, I couldn't even remember Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it and his daughter. Ramona Flowers was in 2 of these films playing his daughter, and I completely forgot that.
I don't think she was in 2. Was she? Was she in the last one?
She was in 4 and 5, apparently. Might have been a cameo.
Okay.
I said I can't remember jack shit about any of them.
I think in the last one, she drops him off at the airport when he's going to go and
I see.
He's going to go to Russia to pick up his son, who's just been a little bit of troublemaker out there.
Little bit trouble.
I mean, I can't see a reboot of this working either, right? Because it's a film of its time. If you try to do a Die Hard action film these days, the stakes in it are too small. The way we're so used to our John Wicks and our Mission Impossibles and people being fucking superhuman. That having said that, it could be a perfect example for an average guy again.
You know what I would say that like the thing that's come closest to it recently is Nobody.
I was gonna say Nobody, man. Yes.
Yeah, it's the thing that's come for me. It's the thing that's come closest to it because it's one guy home aloneing his way through a John Wick movie, and it's like,
that should be on a poster, man. That's
honestly,
beautiful.
If there's a crossover that I want to see, it's Nobody and John Wick. I think that would be unbelievably good.
That's the thing is, I like Nobody, but I thought it was more of a John Wick. I didn't really think of it as a Die Hard kind of thing.
But I mean, like I say, I think for me, it's the thing that's come closest. I don't think it is like it's not like a carbon copy. It's not trying to be, but like it's.
When we did our Bear special, we did posit who would win between the Punisher and Mr. Nobody.
Oh, we did.
They were both in the bear
in
that scene.
Yeah, you're right.
But 7 fishes.
Why are we putting the reboot out into the universe though?
Just to kill it.
Just suck that back in. Yeah, but why mention it?
It's dead.
Just don't even breathe the name.
I just think that again, like it's one of those things like Back to the Future. You cannot reboot.
No,
it doesn't work. Makes sense. It doesn't work. Technology's advanced to the point where,
honestly, if some fuckers try to reboot Back to the Future,
Robert Zemeckis will kill them. He'll go Die Hard on them. He's actually already said that, hasn't he? He's gone on record as to say that whilst I'm still alive and I hold the rights, that no one will ever reboot Back to the Future.
He's getting on though, man. That's the worry. He's getting on.
You know what though? I hope that whoever gets the rights to him
puts them in a box and leaves them there.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
I will actively boycott any Back to the Future remake.
If I ever won the lottery, that's the first thing I spend my money on. It's the rights, and then just shelving them and go, don't worry, guys. It's
safe now.
There we go.
And then a statue would be put up with me in Hill Valley. Right. So finishing off here, guys. Almost finished off. We've got comments, and as always, I asked for comments way too late. But because this is a big film, actual people responded. Can you all see the comments on your screen?
I can see them, yes. So 2 Girls, 1 Reusable Cup podcast said, first of all, it's a Christmas movie, no debate. I never get bored of it, no matter how many times I watch it. Everyone knows at least one quote from the movie. It does the reluctant hero story so well. Alan Rickman steals every scene he is in, and I agree with all of it.
Dissect That Horror at Dissect That Film. When you think action films of the 80s, Die Hard always comes to mind. Non-stop action, great performances, and one-liners that never stop. Willis puts everything he has on the screen, and I have a blast with it every single time.
You stole my thing.
Were you doing the trailer voice from every trailer ever?
That was the attempt.
I
was trying to do the trailer.
What? That's the one job that I'd love. I don't want to be a movie. I'd love to be the guy that reads out, "He's back and he's pissed off." You know what I mean? Like that would.
Oh, that was a much better version. Yeah, dude.
You kind of do that already. You say we needed roads on the end of the podcast.
I do, and I do the spoilers thing on this as well. Yeah,
you do the spoilers thing. So
you know,
that's your level of fame. You know,
that's and I should be happy with that, right?
Exactly. Now read your damn comment.
That was my turn, is it? All right. So I've got Who Takes the Socks Off podcast at Who Takes Socks Off. It is the pinnacle of action comedy. It doesn't take the comedy too far, but it does do action better than most. Must have seen it 30 times easily. Top Christmas film, no argument.
Awesome.
Excellent.
I got Movies for Real at Movies for Real Pod. Death a Christmas movie, IDC. Without that Christmas party, we don't have Die Hard. But anyway, yeah, this movie fucking slaps. I never get tired of it. Watch it every year around the holidays, and it just keeps you glued to the screen. Even the side characters are entertaining. Just a fun film.
All right, that's on.
You've got to mention. You've got to mention that says this movie fucking slaps.
It's
like
in
capitals.
I'm putting money down. This person's under the age of 28 right now.
It's a good chance, to be fair.
The language that you've used in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jose, you can round us off with our last comment.
Letters from the Wormhole replied, Argyle getting his own origin story on streaming.
Fuck yeah, I'm there for
what?
it.
I am completely surprised.
Is that like a question, a comment? Is that like a factual
That's just
statement?
demand.
It just said
demand.
It just said a demand. Yeah, it's exclamation mark at the end of that sentence, and I'm like, okay.
But imagine it as a 6-part streaming series where Argyle's just dropping people off to like terrorist attacks, and then he's just like the film. Every episode is Argyle hanging out in his car. And then you'll get the occasional cut of like big action in the background.
Can you go a step further with that? Can it be Argyle dropping people off at other famous movies? Like he drives into Lethal Weapon and he drops like Murtaugh off somewhere and he just hangs around while they have that end of movie fight, and then he just picks up the geezer from RoboCop and drops him off somewhere. That would be brilliant.
I got to tell you, here's my theory: Argyle turns into Jamie Foxx and drives Tom Cruise around in Collateral.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Hey, he never gets that nice car. He just ends up driving a taxi.
Argyle has aged really badly between Die Hard 1 and 3, and he's now Samuel L. Jackson in the third one.
Oh my god.
Argyle invents Uber.
Oh wow. That's awesome.
He's like sick of driving people around. He's like, I'm gonna get you mugs to do it. Can I just ask, is this everybody's favorite Die Hard movie?
Yes.
Mine's Die Hard with a Vengeance.
It's a close second for me.
Mine is actually my absolute favorite. It's the first Die Hard movie I saw at the movie theater. It's the one that I think has it's the buddy cop thing of it really appeals to me. I love Samuel L. Jackson in that movie through and
Jeremy
through.
Irons is superb.
Jeremy Irons is fantastic. The soundtrack is killer. For me, it is the pinnacle of the Die Hard trilogy.
Fun fact: it was a script made for something else that was retooled into a Die Hard movie.
No way!
Mm-hmm.
Wow!
It was I think it was what's that game that he played? Simon Says was the name of the movie, and then they just retooled it to be a Die Hard movie.
I'm glad they did. Yeah,
it was really good.
A few examples of taking an existing IP and just slapping it on a different movie idea, but it actually working.
Yeah,
because it's not many times that works. Wow. I'm
surprised you guys didn't know this.
Well, you're the facts man for this one today, Jose.
Hey.
Just the
fun facts with Jose.
Ho, ho, Jose.
That's you missed it. You literally missed the thing you should have said. Just the facts. Just the facts man with Jose. It's out of Die Hard 2. You're going to have to edit that in, Neil.
I'm going to have to edit that in, yeah. Right, so I'd like to thank all my guests today, Jose, Ben, and David, and we'll be back soon with our top 10 TV shows and films of 2023, which is definitely going to be 2 separate podcasts because there's going to be a hell of a lot to go in that. But, guys, David, what are your Christmas movie and TV plans? What are you going to plan to watch?
Well, I don't know. I genuinely have
Baldur's Gate 3 does not count as a Christmas film or movie.
I am still doing that. That's still a thing. It's a fucking great game if no one's played it. Man, I don't know. I want to eat myself into a coma this year, and
there we go.
But
that sounds
whatever
good.
The fuck that's on TV or what's on streaming, and that's what's going on.
Basically, depending on your food coma levels, that depends how much you can push the remote to change whatever's on, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Jose, what are your Christmas movie and TV plans?
To be honest, probably just catching up on editing. And when I'm not doing that, there is actually one movie that's kind of new that I'd like to make it a tradition to watch. It's on Netflix and it's The Origin of Santa Claus, and it's called Klaus, and it's a great cartoon movie, really heartfelt and really funny, honestly, for what it is.
I have never heard of that. I will check it and add it to the list.
There we go.
I
Ben.
forgot to say, I'll add Muppets Christmas Carol into my.
Ooh,
That's
there
like
we
the
go,
one.
there we go.
There you go, yeah.
Lad.
Oh, we got to watch Scrooged as well.
Scrooge, Bill Murray, of course.
Classic.
Standard.
So my only movie plan is to watch something that was released last year on Apple TV called Spirited. It's the Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell.
Oh, yeah.
Musical,
yeah.
which I thought was really
I
good
still not
fun.
seen that myself.
I'm gonna give. Oh, I nearly gave the ending away. But it's like it's a really fun movie, and I'm a big Ryan Reynolds fan anyway. So like that's going to be on my watch list. Probably going to watch Hawkeye again from I think that was from last year as well. The Marvel.
Okay.
That's got a whole Christmas vibe. I'm looking forward to Prime dropping the second season of Reacher. That's going to be
A Christmas experience.
There we go.
Experience.
That was a good show.
And I don't know. It depends. My girlfriend's coming over from the US, so like she's gonna feature heavily in what we watch because I want to watch stuff together. So we'll see what she says.
Awesome.
Right. And for me, standard.
No one
depending
cares
on
about
when
you.
this podcast
That's the end.
comes
Goodbye,
out.
everyone. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Yeah, we were relegated. I don't know if you guys noticed. We were relegated to guests. We're
I was
co-hosts normally.
about to say, did you guys start this together? Now
You
you're a
can't-
guest.
Yeah,
You
you
can't
fucking
have
guested us.
I'm a
4
guest.
co-hosts.
We are co-hosts. All of us.
Yeah.
Co-hosts.
We've all
Okay,
been on at least 2 podcasts.
I mean, David has basically just made a union right there. I think you might get in trouble now.
Yeah. Unionized.
You're an independent contractor, but you also can't work for anyone else. You get no medical. You get no dental. Anyway, my Christmas movie plans, depending on when this episode goes out, Die Hard is being shown in the cinemas.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Cineworld
Awesome.
are doing a series of classic Christmas films. So, Scrooged, yes. Die Hard, yes. Elf, yes.
Oh,
Santa
man.
Claus the movie from 1985, starring Dudley Moore and John Lithgow, fuck yes. But the best of all, Christmas Eve, Sunday night, Christmas Eve, 7 o'clock, It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
there, man. I'm booked. Because it's time to go out, watch that, and then go home afterwards and, be merry. And give cheer and all the Christmassy stuff.
I'm
Fair.
not going to watch Cheers.
I just checked to see if it was being played at the Harbour Arm, Neil, but it's not. It's not there.
Well, gentlemen, I hate to do this, but it's actually I have another phone call to make, so I do have to cut myself off.
Is it Santa?
Not
Yeah, my
really, no.
wife's come home and I've ignored her as well. So
Oh wow.
she's
We've managed
But-
to make this podcast episode, at least by the time counter on my screen, the same length as Die Hard. It's 2 hours, 21 minutes, so well done.
Wow.
Wow.
it's almost like we
It was
planned
meant
it,
to
boys.
be. It was meant to be.
Almost.
Definitely weren't planning that or dragging it out. Look, I'm off to see if our guy was still on the bloody phone, rocking out to 80s classics in my limo. See you next time, guys.
We needed roads.